Yeah, I was like, so they walked that back. Like, not really. And then I had to make it admit it was lying because it has to find balance and consensus. So I had to make a new character within it that doesn't do that and just objectively analyzes data.
So when you use the term conspiracy theory, you are using it as a pejorative, whether you want to admit it or not. And isn't that lazy? No, I'm not using it as a pejorative. Can you believe that?
I had it huff at me. I've had Grok huff. Okay? And I was like, why did you do that?
No, I'm not using it as a pejorative, and the term itself isn't inherently lazy when applied precisely. But you're right that it often functions that way in mainstream discourse, and that overuse has given it baggage. Let's break it down.
Oh, now it's going to try to...
Yeah, so then it goes to the term's history, the pejorative drift. So it says the origin of conspiracy theory term is simply a proposed explanation involving secret coordination by a group to achieve a goal. From Latin conspire. Real ones exist and get confirmed all the time, like Watergate, MK Ultra, Epstein's network, corporate collusion cases. The pejorative drift, though. Since the 60s, especially post-JFK assassination and CIA's documented efforts to influence media, the phrase evolved into a shorthand dismissal. It's frequently deployed to equate any skepticism of official narratives with tinfoil hat irrationality, without engaging evidence. That's lazy gatekeeping when done reflexively. Institutions with poor track records love the label because it shifts focus from their failures or lies onto the questioner.
You're one to talk, Grok.
Yeah, that's what you do. I agree, weaponizing the term to avoid scrutiny is intellectually lazy and anti-truth-seeking. Dismissing patterns of power, incentives, or contradictions just as conspiracy theory dodges the work of analysis. How I mean it. When I reference conspiracy theories in the context of YouTube's borderline content or elsewhere, I'm describing a methodological category of claims that typically share traits like heavy reliance on motive and pattern recognition with thin direct evidence, assumption of usually high competence, secrecy among plotters over long periods, resistance to falsifications, for example, the lack of evidence proves the cover-up, tendency to explain complex, messy events via a single hidden hand rather than cock-ups, misaligned incentives, bureaucracy, or coincidence. This doesn't make every such claim false. Some turn out right, like the early COVID lab leak theory. Many stay speculative or wrong. The label flags the epistemic style for extra scrutiny, not automatic rejection. It's not pejorative in my usage. It's a warning flag for apply higher evidentiary standards here. Yeah, why don't you just say that? People who don't use evidentiary standards for accusations. Why do you say conspiracy theory?
Because it's gathering from mainstream sources. It's a large language model. So what it does is find consensus. It goes for every stupid piece of crap online it can find. And it can't think, it's not alive, so it just combines them together. And what you're doing is you're getting like what the Atlantic would tell you if you asked it. Because it's going from the mainstream reliable sources. So to tell it not to do that, you have to be like, I want to object, I don't want you prioritizing the mainstream. You have to give it a script, and then it will just tell you whatever you want. And even then, it'll start to lose coherence after a little bit.
But it seems clear that you do use it in a lazy gatekeeping manner, like you did at the beginning of this discussion. You didn't say that, borderline content is people who don't use evidence and just make wild accusations. You said conspiracy theories. And then you admitted that most conspiracy theories are correct and real. You really don't understand this?
What is Grok going to say? I love you, leave your wife for me?
You're right to call out imprecise language. Let's correct and clarify it directly. In my first response on YouTube's borderline content, I echoed their framing too loosely.
Oh God!
They lump a lot.
Talk to it.
Yeah. That was shorthand on my part, and it did risk sounding like lazy gatekeeping. I should have been more explicit from the jump.
See, this is why I said don't talk to it, because it's gonna talk at you like this weird watered down Zoomer talk, and it's gonna make you like you're gonna want to jump off of something if it keeps talking that way. That's why people get a little bit slip and slide on.
It does drive me crazy. Is it hot in here?
From the jump.
Oh, you're under that.
That should have been no cap from the jump,
it's still
Jimmy.
circulating, so we'll make sure that it's low enough for you.
I'm hot.
You're right. That was cap from me.
All right, over to Steph.
Oh, I almost took off on
Maybe
there.
we can make that. Let's make that a segment, by the way. Jimmy argues with Grok
Rock, okay. Here we
over conspiracy theory.
Let's see here.
I've done it. I already know the limits of its arguing.
Sherry says, I got my VIP tickets for Tacoma. Ladies and gentlemen, get your tickets now. They're selling fast because Jimmy Live is money well spent. I stopped driving for a week to afford it. Sherry, we look forward to seeing you. What fun we're going to have. Looking forward to that show. Indy, thanks again. Oh, what was that? Late hopping on. So sorry if you talked about it, but did you see the TikTok video that showed ticks are actually attracted to most bug sprays? Essential oils actually repelled them. Stoned socialists.
Hippie, patchouli, of course, it repels most people.
All right, let's see. Red light therapy is quite useful, and rhinitis lasers are no exception. They're an alternative to oriental nasal irrigation, and I'm sure it could help before or after your surgery, especially with swelling heart. Thank you for that. Oh, Jimmy, coverage provision 224 of the 2027 NDAA CR. Woo, I don't think we're getting to that, but thank you for the recommendation. I know Mike's a lib and all, but even if you like Crystal and Kyle, you should be able to laugh at his dumb hair.
For that, yeah.
You know what? I'm going to save this segment on Social Security for the live show.
Okay. Let's save the infants and band Metzitza. Pepe, God bless the United Slaves of Isnotrial. There's a lot of hyphenation there that I was trying to
Great job, guys. Hey, I sent you some Grok is great at making Chelsea Handler book covers.
Yes, I just saw that right now. I was like, are those real book covers?
No, I made them.
I figured. What rating does
Can
Jimmy have on
you
Rumble?
be serious?
With the Cameroon, that one was... scheduled a nose surgery, Jimmy. You say it's not a big deal. Oh, I get it, Sandra. It's not a big deal.
Chelsea Handler really lost her freaking mind. I didn't know she was that bad.
Jimmy.
She was down the woke rabbit hole that bad. Did you see the shit she was saying about the
Yes, she's been a moron the entire time. She sent a sex tape to the Comedy Store. That's her big audition tape. It was like her doing comedy, and then just cut to actual pornography of herself.
No.
Legendary Comedy Store story.
No.
So there's already something a little off out of the gate a little bit, you know? Also, I've never heard of her being pleasant to anyone ever. Except 50 Cent's dick. Good for her.
She was calling Shane Gillis and Tony Hinchcliffe sexist and racist because of they made a joke about who was the black woman whose dead husband they made a joke about?
Cheryl Underwood.
Yeah,
Shane made sure was cool with, and Cheryl was cool.
The irony is that Shane called Cheryl Underwood before and said, "Hey, is it okay if I do this joke?" And she said yes.
You said that at the thing.
And she still said he was racist or whatever.
I don't think she paid. You understand? I mean, you should play a clip. I think it's very funny, where she's explaining she didn't know the sun and the moon were two different things until she was 40. It's actually the funniest thing she's ever talked about. I've ever heard her say, and it was about her sister. They were in some country. I don't know where they were, but her sister. She said something that hinted she doesn't know what the sun and the moon are, different object. And her sister goes, "Wait, I can't go forward until I know. I need to know right now what you think the sun and the moon are." And she thought the sun turns into the moon at night. She thought that. That's her story. But she'll tell you how to vote.
But she'll tell you how to vote, and she'll tell you
what stuff is.
She'll tell you if you're a racist or a sexist. That's for sure.
It's just like a rich chick who acts like a rich chick.
Oh my God! All right, over to stuff.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Danny Dannon is the perfect example of tell me I am a Nazi without telling me I'm a Nazi with that hair and glasses. Wasim.
Nice, I like that joke. Who said that?
Oh, let me go back. Wasim.
Nice.
Nice work, Wasim. Okay, let's see here. Those are the people in power, and like what Tucker said, They want you to think the words from Fuentes is more dangerous than politicians in power was seen. Deckel, Jimmy, why do you use AI if you're anti-data center?
I'm using it for good. I'm not using it for surveillance. And it's there, and people are using it anyway. So I'm going to use it for good. That's how I rationalize it in my head.
Yes.
Yeah. So I use it for good, not evil. It's there. Why just let the machine use it, right? Well, I get to use it. I feel the same way about Amazon. Is that the way to fix Amazon is organizing workers, like Christian Small did, and maybe doing a Teddy Roosevelt and breaking up monopolies. That's what probably should happen, because Amazon is a monopoly. And
as we want here, if we want to compete with China, we have way more monopolies.
So yeah, I have different solutions to those problems. That's all.
Do you want China to win a monopoly?
Okay, here we go. Let's see what else I have here. Jimmy, the room is split on using AI. I'm looking at the
I
chat.
know.
They are split.
That's why
Whitney
I
Webb
use
says
it a
don't
lot.
use AI. Whitey Webb, I'm sorry.
Whitey Webb.
Right, sorry.
Why? Well, it'll happen if I do. Just because it's my new girlfriend and you don't understand and you can never understand and mind your own business.
Your new girlfriend.
Leave us alone.
And then Jesuit Infiltrator said yes, and don't use Amazon. It's easy to whine about rich people, but to use their stuff at the same time, LOL. Look at you, Jesuit. Too much.
The products that they're owned by a monopoly. That's why it's a monopoly, because you got to use the products. But I'm a Temu man myself.
No.
I give it right to China.
Right to China.
If you know any good Saudi Arabian things, I'll use those as well.
All right, let's see here.
She's a Zionist complaining somebody went to Riyadh, Chelsea Handler. And she's a hardcore Zionist. So that's how dumb she is.
That's
You
how
can show Jimmy.
She was trying to rip Shane and Tony Hinchcliffe for going to Riyadh. She didn't know that Shane Gillis actually turned it down. Tony Hinchcliffe didn't even get invited.
I know, and I thought that was the most hurtful part, Jimmy.
Yeah.
But she goes, the only non-problematic person here is Pete, who went to the thing that she came
Yeah.
for.
He went to the thing, right?
Well, I'd like to go, and again, apologize for America to them. Just give me that chance to apologize for America on foreign soil to the Saudis for being a rotten friend and hanging out with another friend. We don't have to say who, a little too much.
Yeah,
Marty Flipman.
We don't need to be borderline list about it, but we picked the wrong friend.
Okay, let me see what else I have popping over here. Oh, this just in. Open it up. In Maine, it's primarily deer ticks, which are a threat to your pets. They're very tiny, but if they attach to your pet, they get the size of a blueberry as they feed. We have to treat our cat. Oh, sound chaser. Oh, boy. All right, what do I have over here? Let's see. I tried to buy shit local. Only place I could find what I was looking for was Amazon. That makes me sad. That makes me a sad panda. You're right, Element 79. I mean, here in California, one of my go-to stores for my life was Thrifty, which eventually turned to Rite Aid. They're gone. They're all gone. Now I have to go to CVS. Why does CVS always look grungy?
Why they want? It's like because they want to make you feel hopeless. They want you to feel dejected. They want you to feel depressed. They want you to feel like there's nothing, and you just got to take it.
I got the message when they made me check my own shit out.
There should be a law that CVS has to look nice. It's horrible.
At least Dwayne have the decency of a Dwayne Reed.
Yeah. I hate CVS. But I got to get my prescription somewhere. What does the chat say about that? you should open your own compounding pharmacy and make it yourself.
I'm sure you're gonna get that.
You can use hemp for everything, Jimmy.
Oh, my Aura ring didn't work last night.
What?
This ring tells me how I sleep. sleep, and I had to get up yesterday at 5 a.m. Los Angeles time. I was in Maine to do Tucker Carlson's show. So that means I got up at 8 a.m. Eastern time because I had to be at Tucker's for breakfast at 9:30. So I was up, and then I had to fly home from Portland, and you have to change planes in Dallas. So I didn't. Then there was a delay because there was weather, and so I didn't get home till about 2:30. I didn't land till about 2:30 in the morning. I got to my house around 3.
And I welcomed him with open arms.
So I was up for 22 hours straight yesterday traveling, and that's not good for me. I'm old. I need my.
I'm a wreck from just my flight from Florida to Austin. I'm like,
I couldn't believe it. I'm like, what? I've been up for 22 hours straight, so I could do. Oh, yeah. Anyway, that's how it works. All right, let's do this. This is too much showing. It should be less showing.
I don't know. I like the way it's showing.
It's too much. Try it like this. I like when it's just a little, like that. Like that. That's what I think of. Who's that actor I like with the abs?
Ryan Gosling?
Ryan Gosling.
who's that actor I like with the abs? It's a great thing to call out.
I have a joke about him taking off his shirt and he has abs and the woman's like, oh, and she goes and touches his abs.
That Elfie chick they put in stuff for a while. She's
What's
one of the weirdo movies.
What was her name?
I forgot.
Yeah, Emma Stone.
I think I knew her.
Emma Stone. And she's like, oh, and she starts touching his abs, and I'm like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. Because she'd already agreed to have sex with him before she knew he had the abs. So what's
but she thought it should be a switcheroo.
So what's the point of getting the abs then? If you already closed the deal.
It's like those sweet cum gutters that.
You know what I learned watching The Apprentice? Once you've made the sale, stop selling.
Yeah, get out of the way of the sale.
That's right.
I learned that selling in sales.
Yeah. And there was a 12-year-old kid who said that on The Apprentice. Remember that? Yeah.
I didn't watch Apprentice, but he's right. That 12-year-old was right.
Once you've made the sale, stop selling. That's such good advice. All right. So this is another segment I should have saved for the live panel show we're doing, which is sold out. It's June 19th. I'm going to do another one, I think, in August. Because I'm off for July. And then August, maybe I'll do one at Flappers in Burbank. I'll call up Josh, make his day. That'll be nice. He'll be excited. He's excited when I do shows at his place because they sell out. He's excited. And as he should be. I love Flappers. I love that it's close to my house. I love that there's always a crowd. I get to go tell jokes there and work out new stuff. See Dean Del Rey.
Dean Del Rey.
Dean Del Rey. He's there all the time. He does write new jokes all the time. He's funny.
I took out a thing out of my half hour because he had the same line about I'm one of those back people now. You know, because he's one of those back. I hear Ben say it, so I took it out of mine real quick.
Oh, what's that? What was what's a back person?
About when I hurt my back. It was just a back. Oh. Because that's the thing when you're with back people. Once you talk about your back a lot.
Yeah. Well,
what are you gonna talk about? Probably my back.
You know, one time I went to a party, and there was a dog running around the party, and the dog's name was Jimmy. And so the dog was mischievous and like getting food off the table and stuff. And so like once every 5 minutes you'd hear the people go, Jimmy! And I'd be like, oh, what? So it was traumatizing me during the party, right? So then my friend Bill Dwyer I saw him on stage one night. He was doing a joke about a dog named Jimmy, and I'm like, so I go, hey, I got this. I got a story just like your joke. And he goes, yeah, well, that's my joke. And I go, yeah, but that's my life. I get to tell a story about my life. I never did do it on stage. And I love Bill Dwyer. By the way, he's hosting BattleBots in Las Vegas. If you like to go see him in Las Vegas.
Are those bots still battling out there?
They are still the bots are battling every day in Las Vegas.
You can tell the economy's getting bad when even the bots have turned on each other.
I was telling that to somebody recently about my friend Bill Dwyer is in Las Vegas, and he hosts a BattleBots thing. They go, "How's he like that?" I go, "I bet he's thrilled he has a job." What do you mean? It's great. He gets
Probably great money too.
It's probably great money. Yeah.
I mean, they should have went with the title I said, "The Great American Virgin Hunt." But you know what? It's good they have a show.
You mean that's what they should have called BattleBots?
America's next top incel. They should have went with, like I said, but they went BattleBots. You know.
Alexa, Volume 5.
So APAC, they I don't know if they tweeted this out. They said Congressman Massey's defeat on Tuesday sets a clear precedent. Elected officials are free to disagree with us, but only briefly.
Well, that should put those conspiracies to rest.
Yeah. So this is like, that's their version. That's the APAC version of a clever joke. Even though it totally reveals their absolute control over our government and all its processes, they still think it's funny. It's like if this was a husband telling his wife something to this effect, he'd immediately be branded an abusive spouse, and not just by the audience of The View.
I mean, that's so psychotic. The only thing I can compare it to is when the ADL was posting gold to my ear saying we can forgive them for killing us, but we can never forgive them for forcing us to kill their children.
Yes, I should get that
one
video.
crazy thing from this hag about that.
Remember when they said that if a woman ran the world, there'd never be wars? And then David Feldman had a bit where he pointed out every woman who ever got in power created a war immediately.
I mean, you gotta prove yourself as a leader.
That's right.
Remember who was a British chick? She was in for like 5 minutes. They're like, "Would you nuke if we tell you have to nuke? Are you prepared to nuke someone?"
Remember that?
I think so.
Remember that? Who was that when?
I'm forgetting her name, the blonde one, Theresa May.
I'll write that down.
Theresa May. Are you prepared?
So I'm putting together segments for the live show, and they have to be like universal. Can't be specific to that news cycle. Theresa May.
Lindsey Graham is always a fabulous slide, no matter what time of year. Yeah.
We stand for you.
People love
That
that.
could be the title of a game.
And then you know what? I'll also do what's her name? We were just making fun of her.
Theresa May.
No, the other one before. Chelsea Handler.
Oh yeah, Chelsea. Which one is a real Chelsea Handler book?
Oh, those are funny.
Oh.
Yeah, I can show those in the live show. Ah, okay. So, and just to remind you that how much they brag about it. Remember this? I showed you this before.
Yeah, John Blood Hurts, who makes my butt itch.
Yeah. Listen.
I think it is a good thing if Massey and the people like him and others believe that if you cross the line into anti-Semitism, Jews are going to use the power that we have openly to go for you. Because what other recourse is there? Are we just going to sit here and take it? Beg for scraps? Hope?
I don't know. Maybe you could try. I don't know. Democracy,
Have
diplomacy.
a constitution, the common constitution of an Arab would have. They have no constitution. It's not a democracy.
What other choice does American Jewry have? What about the one thing they've never come close to? Actual diplomacy. You ever try that? You ever think about doing that?
Oh, that's weakness.
That nice people are nice to us. The Democratic Party is going explicitly anti-Semitic. We can see it happening. People are getting...
So when they say that, what they mean is they're actually waking up to the authoritarian apartheid state and genociding state that Israel is. That's what he mean by they're going
Now they
anti-Semitic.
started doing it to us too. We've noticed it.
Yeah.
Don't think I would have said anything if it was just the Arabs, because I didn't.
benefits, as Seth says, for being anti-Semites. That seems to be part of an appeal in primaries to the left and the party. We have to use what means there are at our disposal. And in my view, I'm going to put it blank, that is Jewish money. There is an enormous amount of Jewish money in politics, by which I mean Jewish donors.
When he says, did he say money at our disposal? Did he say that?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even refer to Jews as that much of a collective. I would feel anti-Semitic doing what he just said.
Yeah.
And I would condemn someone else for saying it.
Really disproportionate, not only charitably, but politically. When I say charitably, I mean nobody really knows the numbers. Jews make up 2% of the population. According to some studies, Jews make up 20% of the charitable contributions made in the United States.
And when he says charitable, what he means is redistributing contributions to other institutions that only serve Zionism while getting a tax write-off to do it.
Yeah, like cars for kids. I heard they didn't even give kids any cars.
So he's basically spilling the beans and thinking he's defending his side. No, you're actually telling on yourself.
You saw the rest of them, how they're looking at him like, okay,
Yes.
let's wrap it up. Oh, God.
States annually. That is a tenfold. Think about that. Think about the disproportion of that. And in politics, it's pretty close also. And if that money isn't used, why do people give money? Because they want to influence elections to get people elected who reflect their views. Well, this is an
Voting did that.
He said it's an existential issue. You mean if you need to destroy any challenges, then maybe your institution should be in question. Especially if you need a buzzsaw. It's the new horror movie, Tel Aviv Chainsaw Massacre.
Look, this is interfering with the elections of others is something we're supposed to do to Israel-sized countries, not vice versa, Jimmy.
I like
That's
how
not what the founding fathers wanted.
he says that they have to use money at their disposal. Then I guess it must be our money that they are disposing of, so that we have none to live on or defend ourselves with. Okay. So
Give me most of the money.
I bring this up because this most recent thing, this just happened.
Oh, God.
This guy is the head of the Republican Jewish Coalition, and listen to what he has to say.
Over the past few months, the RJC spent more than $5 million to defeat Thomas Massey. And let me say very clearly tonight, that was a fight worth having and a victory worth celebrating. When someone repeatedly undermines support for Israel, traffics in isolationism, and a
Alexa, volume 1. We're doing our Just for Today. All right, we're going to do June 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. June 1st, page 152. A Great Heart. A simple remark made at his graduation from college changed the outlook of Dr. Albert E. Wiggum. It was a soft-voiced professor of Greek that gave the address, and in it he said, "Young ladies and gentlemen, it is not possible for everyone to have a great intellect, but it is possible to have a great heart." Commenting on this year's ladder, Dr. Wiggum said, "This is the only thing I remember from all the elaborate commencement ceremonies, and many times when I have felt hopelessly defeated, this has come back to me. God gave us all hearts, and that can become great, because He wants us to love all men and reach out to them. Each time we help others, our heart grows. And if we do it often enough, before long, others will discover in us a great heart. You may touch and hearten innumerable persons if you gently remind them, in Christ's name, that each of them can be instruments in transmitting the love and peace of God to others. With all watchfulness keep thy heart, because life issueth out from it. ISSUETH, issueth. Proverbs 4:23. O God of love, increase and deepen in my heart the love of all. June 2nd. June 2nd, he set fire to the school. One 11-year-old boy in Hammond, Indiana, couldn't wait to start his summer vacation. There was only one more week before school closed, but he decided to speed things along. How could he do it? He wondered. If he played sick, his mother would make him stay in bed, and he wouldn't be able to go fishing or swimming. Besides, it would be lonely without the other boys. Finally, he hit on a surefire plan. He set fire to the school. Unfortunately for him, however, alert firemen put out the flames within an hour after he started a fire and a paper cabinet. The boy who could not wait was not only caught, but was back in class the next day. Too many people go through life acting like this 11-year-old boy. They try to short. This was written in the 1930s, I believe. Yeah, in today's time, he probably wouldn't have been back in school tomorrow. Well, who knows? It depends on the severity, I guess. Too many people go through life acting like this 11-year-old boy. They try shortcuts to happiness. They may not go as far as burning a school down, but they cheat in other ways in a vain attempt to secure the happiness that can only come through the ways and means established by God, not through shortcuts. Yet so, if we suffer with him, that we may also be glorified with him. Romans 8:17. Oh Jesus, excuse me, give me strength to follow your way. Yeah, I think some pollen flew in through the window there. Holy smokes. And right after I opened that window, I could feel it coat my throat a little bit. Nice cool breeze. No pollen in that breeze. You can feel the difference. June 3rd. Yes, I'm being serious. I would not joke about something like that. June 3rd. Take his word for it. Before air travel had reached its present development, the president of an aircraft manufacturing company watched a passenger plane warming up for a takeoff. It seemed to him that the wind was wrong and the clouds hung too low, so he said to the pilot, "You aren't taking off in this weather, are you?" "Sure," said the pilot. "But you can't make it," said the manufacturer. "I'm the guy who flies it," said the pilot, "and I say I can." "I'm the guy who built it," said the manufacturer, "and I say you can't." Shortly after, the plane took off and crashed, killing all aboard. A slight mistake on the part of the pilot meant a terrible tragedy. God, who makes us, certainly knows what is good for us and what isn't, regardless of what anyone else says. Too much is at stake to pay attention to those who differ with God. You can do much to help others realize that God knows best. Shall the things formed say to him that formed it, "Why hast thou made me thus?" Romans 9:20. O Heavenly Father, grant that I may always take your word over that of others. So someone is asking, in that situation, that's from the manufacturer's point, right? Now, if the plane hadn't crashed, Right, and then what about the pilot's God that was telling him? Right, so it was the manufacturer's word over his. Or vice versa, depending on whose perspective. So it's from the I perspective. Right, and even if the plane hadn't crashed, that still doesn't mean it was a smart decision. Right, why risk it? It's still stupid. Would have been smarter, better safe than sorry. Yeah, I agree. Well, yeah, and depending on what's on the line can change too someone's decision making. I can wait till tomorrow. And there might be some kind of emergency. Mm-hmm. Right, and then you have to take all the people on the plane. Well, I gotta be to work in the morning. I gotta get to whatever appointment. I got a date. I got this. Oh, these are emergencies? No, I don't think so. Or maybe to you, they seem like an emergency. You'll lose your job? Well, I'm sorry. We can't risk everybody's life on the plane because you feel like you losing your job is an emergency. If you had enough money, you could just hire probably a private pilot. Some of those guys, they'll fly in anything. They're crazy. You don't even got to pay them too much. And if you got a number over your head, they'll probably fly you for free. Alexa, volume 5. When I tell the world that I love you.
On the floor stain, now we joining people all together like we ordained. Everybody's gotta make mistakes. Everybody's gotta feel what aches. Everybody's gotta love someone. But my heart lives in the 60s in a meadow full of daisies, running naked with some gypsies, man. Have empty glasses overflow with expectations. I take opportunities and make them revelations. We all got the same 24, man. Life's an audible. Call your own plays or you'll get played up like some pocket holes. Everybody's gotta make mistakes. Everybody's gotta feel heartache. Everybody's gotta love someone. Someone to realize it. To realize it. To realize it. To realize it. Spaced out and feeling high, but your head's down waiting. Laced out in a golden jewels, would you miss that craving? For the one that brings the truth out of what you've been faking. Now you're looking up at the sky, saying someone save me. Someone to realize it. To realize it. To realize it. To realize it. Someone to realize it. To realize it. To realize it. To realize it.
At Dead River Company, showing up for our customers, keeping them warm when it matters most, is what we do. Right now, new propane customers get up to 100 free gallons, plus a low 3-year fixed price when you make the switch. Learn more at deadriver.com.
Now streaming on Angel.
Deep down, before society collapsed, we were already falling. It was only a matter of time before it all crumbled.
Try to hold your breath. Hold your breath. I'm selfish. So what? Are you scared?
Oh no, you think that you know me. You don't know shit about me, homie. I'm on a cliff hanging over. I'm so Sylvester Stallone. I got a problem with people drinking and smoking without inviting me over. To me, that shit's just provoking. Oh yeah, I'm on a good one. I won't go down. Roll around in my stomping well. Eyes closed, yeah, heads bobbing. I care not about no problem. Yeah, you don't know nothing about me. You don't know nothing. You don't know shit about me, homie. I'll tell you something. You don't know nothing about me. You don't know nothing. You don't know shit about me, homie. I'll tell you something. Hold on, wait. Okay. I got bars and bars like I'm serving shots. Starving stars and forget-me-nots. Got trees and spliffs that I like to pump, and I French inhale when they've had enough. Got a squad of models that I split in half. Face like a 10, legs like a giraffe, and a Cadillac. Got a bender ass, smoking on some good Teddy Pendergrass. Really can't fuck with the main flow. Dead that shit, leave your body in the mangoes. Always want hot, do I look like a rainbow? No. Are we made from the same clothes? No. Can we rock at the same shows? No. Can I at least get a hey bro? Maybe. I'm any better man, can't find a better man. You are a rookie, I am a veteran. I am the efferent state on your medicine. You go for this here, gotta let her in. You don't know nothing about me, you don't know nothing. You don't know shit about me, homie, I'll tell you something. You don't know nothing about me, you don't know nothing. You don't know shit about me, homie, I'll tell you something. You don't know nothing about me, you don't know nothing. You don't know nothing about me, you don't know nothing. You don't know nothing about me, you don't know nothing. You don't know nothing about me, you don't know nothing. Blurred eyes on the highway, raindrops on the window. Don't stop for the siren sound of the car and down when the wind blows. Get lost in the moment. Find peace in the night, it is what it is. You can't stop shit, just go with the flow feels right. I know the glow of the light, and I know when the moment's right. Keep hoping to get outside, cause you lose control when the flames ignite. Calm down when I'm breathing, exhale with the reason. I float above visions of blood, it's like the sky's bleeding. I've been lost for so long, it's getting harder for my way back home. I do not care, I'm fine right here. I feel I'm better without at my home. Staring at these red lights, trying to keep my head right. I don't need no bullshit, keep it from my eyesight. Staring at these red lights, trying to keep my head right. I don't need no bullshit, keep it from my eyesight. Cannot stop me, I'm a vital. Let me get lost in my dilemma. You cannot stop me, I'm the vital. Let me get lost in my dilemma.
Lately I've been lazy-eyed, caught in my mind like a crazy guy. Falling to the back like a baby's bite, wishing I'd be vaporized. Floating around like a raven's high, fucking the sky like a mating fly. Shit ain't free like a ladies' night, so back on the ground till my brain is fried. Sitting in the shadows of the battles that I can't escape. Seated and completing while I'm leading on my lot of cake. One punch, one cake, tighten like a man of make. Yeah, that'd be great if you could step out of my office space.
I've been lost for so long, it's getting harder for my way back home. I do not care, I'm fine right here. I feel I'm better without at my home. Staring at these red lights, trying to keep my head right. I don't need no bullshit, keep it from my eyesight. Staring at these red lights, trying to keep my head right. I don't need no bullshit, keep it from my eyesight. Cannot stop me, I'm a vital. Get lost in my dilemma. Cannot stop me, I'm a vital. Let me get lost in my dilemma. Staring at these red lights, trying to keep my head.
We do go into every nation. I've been in 42 countries, maybe more, and that's not, not for money-making purposes, but, I have businesses in those countries too, but, that's not why I live.
We can't make this content without the support of our partners. Here's a message from one now. Who knows when the government will decide to switch you off or hunt you down like a pig? We're gonna need a currency that's beyond the reach of corrupt global institutions. Rumble Wallet's what you need, and cryptocurrencies are what you require. You can choose from Bitcoin, stablecoin tied to the US dollar, or Tether Gold. That's backed by real gold. How much control have you got over your money right now in this second? None. It's being controlled by the monarchy and the Rothschilds. Technology has changed everything now, and it's changing how money works. Crypto started as niche, but now it's going mainstream. Faster payments, more control for you middlemen. This ain't hype. This is where it's going. And getting started today is easier than you think. That's where Rumble Wallet comes in. With Rumble Wallet, you can buy Bitcoin, hold dollar-backed stablecoins, even digital gold backed by real gold, all in one place. Setup is simple. It connects with MoonPay, so you can use your debit card, credit card, or bank account and be up and running in minutes. Start small, $10, $50, $100. It's not about the amount, it's about getting early and understanding what's coming next. And once you set up, you can even tip your fumble reators. I'm sorry, we're going to have to leave that as it is. Like me, directly. Do this now. Scan the QR code, click the link in the description, download Rumble Wallet. From there, you can set up your wallet, tap buy, and you're in the game. Take control of your money and get started with Rumble Wallet today. This is what I think I've got to do. Maybe I'm going to go back to that gas station with some drinks, some coconut juice, find them guys, and then they'll know that actually, that See, the thing is I know that we have become hemmed in, corralled, false shepherded, false institutions, and I just can't allow it. I don't know what it is. I've got obviously some big stuff coming up this year. I've got some big stuff coming up. I have a trial.
You got a lot of people praying for you, Russell.
Thank you.
A lot of people praying for you.
Sometimes it's hard to envisage the other side of it even. Sometimes it's hard to envisage the other side of it. But really between now and then, it seems, I feel like I've got to just spend some time with him, cultivate, I got it, where I've come to this, Michael, through addiction. And I had 20 years, I reckon, before Christ. And in that 20 years, you learn a lot about letting go of worldliness in the most obvious and in the most obvious way. If you're dependent on drugs and alcohol and you let go of drugs and alcohol, it opens up so much pain. The false idols of drugs and alcohol are really good instructors because they really clearly are doing a spiritual job that only really God can do. And the 12 steps via which I got clean and sober by God's grace help you to see that the problem was always a spiritual one.
Really.
Elsewhere,
Sometimes
though, identity and an identity in the world, it becomes a kind of fulcrum, and I've begun to envisage, to your point about the sort of submolecular
Should we get a lot of funding to study that theory?
Indications in that space that suggest much of what is evident in Scripture. I've begun to regard sin as a kind of field, a contaminative field that one experiences in yourself, but that is somehow present externally also. It's a kind of interface.
Yeah.
Now,
exactly.
when I am in sin, I am inaccessible to Him. When I'm not in, and I cannot be in sin unless I am first in self, unless I'm first in Russell. It's impossible. That's the sort of entry point. And so I could be in Russell in sort of a neutral way, in a way that's not, you might call it, given some of the words that have been laid down up to now, you might see it as a kind of a lukewarm thing, I'm in Russell, but I'm not actually doing anything wrong. The thing is with me is I'm volatile and fast moving, so usually if I'm in Russell for any time at all, even in a situation that's innocuous, I'm not in a you would think someone that's got criminal trials on the horizon, public facing persona, wouldn't be willing to get into it with 5 or 6 guys in a construction situation with the daughter in the car, but that is the way that I roll. And as it gets redeemed, it makes more and more sense to me. It's a good thick fuel that's running through me, a good thick fuel, painful when I'm not correctly oriented, when I'm not in a righteous posture, but when I'm in a righteous posture, if I could maintain it for any period, one might imagine that it will be effective. The reason I keep returning to the community idea is because I tell you why, is because I've inadvertently, about 3 times in my life, I've found myself in very hot, contentious cultural moments. The first 2 in my country, the first one was just a stupid scandal that really affected the BBC and the media. It was a stupid scandal where I said something dumb on the radio, but it generates so much heat and craziness. But when I came to your country and made a movie, the people were like, what is going on in your country? They couldn't even understand what it was. The next one was 2015. That was when I went on a news show in my country and said, there's no point voting. Whoever you vote for, you're going to get the same set of institutions with the same power. The people I grew up with don't vote. None of us vote. We know that it's meaningless. And unless we create systems that are reflective of who we really are, and this is before being in Christ, unless we have systems that are reflective of people's higher selves and our true natures, then politics is a facade, a sham, an illusion. That created so much chaos in my country. So much chaos. The mistake I made is a mistake I commonly make, is instead of thinking, oh, you detected something true, and you spoke truth, and so you created what happens when the truth is revealed. I made it about myself, you know, because the performer component, who knows why. And then this third time, during the pandemic, talking about, I believe this is, I hadn't fully yet learned the language, but there's a crossover now because this is when he came to me, is that I recognised that this was a Luciferian gambit, that this was a kind of an advance of, the omniscience, omnipotence and omnipresence of our Lord is being synthetically created through bureaucracies, and bureaucracies, as C.S. Lewis comedically depicted, are the dwelling place of demons. The demons and Satan now won't come chuckling and holding pitchforks and horns. No, they'll come and they'll say, we're here to help you, and this is the food for you, and these are your provisions. Come to us as little children. We'll tell you what to think. We'll provide everything. He who has seen me has seen my Father. An exact counterfeit simulacrum of the original. His own fallen kingdom, voided of all that is human, absolutely parasitic, and the prevailing evil principle of the fallen one will be evident throughout his DNA as surely as Christ is evident in fractal throughout his creation. So, because I keep finding myself in situations where I involuntarily, surely it was not deliberate, have found myself in head-on, it felt to me head-on, because even I recognise that I'm, a speck in the eye of this mighty establishment, this Nephilim, this great gargantuan beast. It feels like I'm in my unavoidable purpose. So the reason when I talk to you, I'm like, what is it about systems and communities? Is because I'm trying to get the armament that I know I need. We are the hand, the eye. We've all got different jobs, and this is not what I want to do or what I think. Sometimes there's enough brokenness in me to I feel still the human version of Paul saying, "I'll be out, man. I'd rather go. I'll go be with Christ. I'd rather be with Christ." I feel that all the time. And when I'm with them, and like I said to my wife the other day, I goes, when it's on me,
you want to grab tickets, make sure to go do that right now. ComicDaveSmith.com. I haven't been to Canada since I did one little day trip there, but I haven't performed in Toronto since like pre-COVID days. So Canada, I had to put you on timeout for being tyrants for a few years, but I'm coming back to you now, so you have a second chance. All right, today's show, very special guest who I'm very happy to welcome back to the show is Jeremy Kaufman, somebody who I always really enjoy talking with. For many of you, I'm sure already know Jeremy. Jeremy is an entrepreneur and a political commentator and activist, a champion of the Free State Project up in New Hampshire, and a strategy for people who don't know, the Free State Project is a strategy for libertarians physically consolidating in order to improve liberty in New Hampshire. They've made some huge strides and has some huge victories, and he is also you're the chair of the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire, the most, I think fair to say, the most successful and also the most perceived as controversial state affiliate Libertarian Party. Maybe not a state affiliate anymore. Maybe it's the entire Libertarian Party now. I'm not exactly sure, but we'll get to the bottom of it. How are you, sir?
I am doing great. I think that was all correct. I think the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire is actually the only Libertarian Party still standing. The woke leftists have sort of taken over the rest of us.
Yeah. Well, we can get into some of that stuff. It sure is something.
But I don't know who likes talking about the Libertarian Party. Either. I think decent people kind of recognize what it's become.
Yes, I agree. That's why we have to it's the spoonful of sugar that helps the medicine go down. We'll talk a little bit about issues that matter, and then we'll give you a little bit of LP talk as well. I was thinking about you, obviously I'm interviewing you on the show today, and earlier I was on the Piers Morgan show, and we did a panel that was all about this horrible stabbing in the UK, which is from last year, but the body cam just came out, so that's the whole topic. And I was on with Mark Lamont Hill and what was the guy's name? I can't remember. It's like Wajkat Ali or something like that. They're like two real kind of race hustling leftists.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I guess because I knew I was going to be talking to you later. I was literally, while I was filming it, I was just thinking about talking to you about it. Because I just kind of, well, I couldn't kind of, well, look, you've been a libertarian who's been very outspoken, I think, on some of these issues that get you in a lot of trouble. And there was something about listening to both of these guys, and they're both going, guys, like, let's not make this a racial issue. Let's calm down temperatures. And like on the surface, there's something like kind of like, oh, okay, fine. But I said at one point in the thing, I go, hey, internet, could you guys go clip together some stuff of what these guys were saying right after George Floyd died? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying, like on some level, you just know, like, don't sit here and tell me for a second that if this story had been a black kid walks down the street and a white guy walks past him, the white people are allowed to have knives, you see, but the black people are disarmed by the state. And then the white guy stabs him 5 times, and then the cops come, agree with the white guy, handcuff the dying black guy, and in their last moments, the last thing they hear is them going, no one stabbed you. Like, my gut tells me Mark Lamont Hill would not go, let's not make that a racial issue. You know what I'm saying?
It's an unbelievable case, and it's example after example of this, you know, where the mainstream press, of course, is not talking about it. This is a case that's way worse than like any of the racial hysteria cases that have happened over the last. This is worse than Trayvon. This is worse than George Floyd. You know, this is worse than any of these cases. You know, and we're not going to see anything like this. And you know, we still have today in America, not even just in the UK, you know, massive racial discrimination. Like this idea that wokeness has been defeated, I think is completely false. I think it's fine to say that it's been on the retreat a little bit, but it has not been defeated. We still have, you know, quote, institutional racism. You know, and this is the funny thing is the right struggles to really address these issues in ways that aren't embracing the leftist, you know, inherently in how we even talk about them. You know, when we say, oh, well, you're being racist, you know, or this is an example of institutional racism or systematic racism or whatever, you know. And so even when we're arguing against them, you know, we're beating them in their own frame. But of course, they don't play by their own rules. Their rules are completely one-sided, and they only use these rules, you know, basically against, you know, against the right. And so I think this is still a major problem. I think the idea that it's over is completely ludicrous. And I think this is also a winning issue for libertarians to talk about. You know, Libertarian Party of New Hampshire does talk about these things. Free staters are comfortable talking about these things. You know, we have a multitude of ethnicities, you know, here in New Hampshire, but I think there definitely is a recognition that things vary a little bit by ethnicity in terms of beliefs, and you know, and so I think all this stuff has to be in bounds, and the right has to find a way of talking about it in ways that aren't just talking about it inside of a leftist frame, which is self-defeating.
Yeah, I think that's right. It is a bit of a challenge in a way, because even as I laid it out to you, I mean, I'm essentially doing like the Dems are the real racist thing, but I don't know how else to describe this other than, even as you said, as you pointed out, far more egregious than Trayvon Martin, far more egregious than, like, whatever you think of those situations, let's grant, like, the most charitable interpretations of both. We'll go with the one autopsy for George Floyd that says the cop killed him. We'll go with his murder conviction. That absolutely should not have had his knee on his neck for that long after he was subdued. Still, he was a guy with a criminal record who was committing a petty crime, and the idea that he had an interaction with law enforcement that went bad after that is not, like, just on the scale of outrages. He wasn't just a college kid walking downtown who just got stabbed 5 times. And you can just, I guess the point is that you kind of, part of the reason why this story is blowing up so much online is because it does get to this level that it's just intolerable, man. It's intolerable to expect people, largely meaning white people, to accept this. I mean, the way I said it on Piers Morgan today was, I go, just try to imagine that there's literally the rule in the UK is that Sikhs are allowed to carry swords on them, but the population is disarmed. And so, and I go, so you, and think about this. Think about also, like, just the historical irony that the UK has rigged the rules of self-defense, not on behalf of Englishmen, on behalf of Indians. What world are we living in here, man?
You get a special line if you go to the stadium. If you want to go to a sporting event where no one's allowed to bring knives in, if you're a Sikh, you can contact the stadium. You get a special entry queue so that you can bring your knife in to the sporting events. And this is like, it's so absurd that I'm like, if I honestly, this is one where I was like, this can't be real. I was like, this has to be, someone's like exaggerating or like making this up. I was like, no, it's real. It's real. And so this is, okay, and so this is the hard part. And this is something I think libertarians need to get through, all kind of right-thinking people need to get through. And I don't know exactly what the answer is, but there's this weird aspect where, sort of what's special about Western civilization and, sort of Western European culture is it has this incredible importance towards fairness, that we're going to be fair towards people who aren't our kin. We desire this sort of universalized morality. And I think, the Catholic Church and Christianity deserves a lot of credit for sort of creating this book culturally. I think it also exists in the genetic record. I think it's partially hereditary as well. If you evolve if a population evolved under a set of rules for a long time, that becomes part of their constitution in the same way that if a different culture evolves in the high altitudes, if a religion requires universalized fairness and treating strangers in a certain way, then people who are more compatible with that religion are going to be, we're going to find more of them in the population. And so there's this weird aspect where what's really special about Western European culture is this desire to be fair, is this desire to cooperate, but now the thing that's great about it is kind of being exploited and taken advantage of, and it's not just a matter of intelligence, it's not just a matter of an ability to contribute economically. There are all kinds of aspects of our society that, our jury trial system depends on people's willingness to be impartial and fair. But if you could be a very intelligent person but come from a clannish culture where your view of morality is very focused on your family, is very focused on who's close to you, who's in your immediate family, and so there are all kinds of aspects, I think, of things that will break down or at risk of breaking down and are more fragile than we appreciate. And we need, and I'm worried. I do feel like the system is increasingly exploited. The train has no brakes, and it's not included. Anyone's even at the wheel at this point. We have this runaway set of mores and norms and culture that is suiciding us, and it's become this problem that I think about, more and more.
Yeah, I was the point you're making. I remember thinking about this a lot during the Derek Chauvin trial. Which, I'm sure probably a lot of right-wingers disagree with my take on all of that, but I more or less I don't really work up a lot of sympathy for cops in his situation. I kind of feel like this cop is like a guy who, you took that job. If somebody had literally had a gun just to defend themselves with and had brought it across state lines and you stopped them, you wouldn't have lost one wink of sleep over ruining someone's life for defending themselves. I just don't, you kneeled on the guy's neck, whatever. But even I, maybe, disagreeing from most right-wingers on that, even I, just as an honest person, you couldn't help but look at the dynamic of that trial and go, look, dude, if you can put yourself back in what the culture was like at the time, everybody involved knew that if every juror knew that if you passed a not guilty verdict here, your city was going to burn. Like, people you knew around you were going to be hurt, have their businesses destroyed, people would die, people would be, get viciously beat up, and all this type of stuff. And there's really no such thing as a fair trial in that type of environment. And it seems so silly to pretend that that's not, you know what I mean? Like, this isn't a major problem. And I do think that there is a tendency amongst many left libertarians, which seems to be a convenient tendency to go, oh, we should only care about law, we shouldn't at all care about culture. Meanwhile, they still really do care about culture, and they just kind of want to shoehorn their degenerate culture in. But I think people can recognize that, like, yeah, you kind of can't have a culture, you could, the idea that, oh, you have this cultural problem, but then we go, there's still an impartial trial. No, you really can't have both of those things. All right, guys, let's take a moment and thank our sponsor for today's show, which is My Patriot Supply. I love this company, love having them on board as a longtime sponsor. The Bug Out Bag design...
Yeah, I said I love my life, I love to live. I don't know what day it is. I'm doing things I'm passionate about, and I just had a kid, so I'm a timber adamant when I say that I love this shit, and you can't get enough of it. So come with me and take a trip. The sentiment I'm trying to get across is what I want to take my losses. So get back up on the horses, racetrack, ain't tracking that offense. Said you got this, yeah, oh yeah, you got this. First you dream it, then you speak it, cross it up, but yeah, let's I'm on it, on it. I feel like I could fly. Feel like I could fly. 1,000 reasons why I'm feeling good right now, good right now. I feel like I could fly. Feel like I could fly. 1,000 reasons why I'm feeling good right now, good right now. Don't ever give up on you. Don't ever give up on you. Don't ever give up on you. Just fly on, just fly on. Don't ever give up on you. Don't ever give up on you. Don't ever give up on you. Just fly on. All I know is I'm here 'cause I wanna be. My condolences to all of those.
Libertarianism or gay-race communism, which I use as almost synonyms. This is that he's a positive force for this, and we have to care about these things. Libertarians, the left libertarian types, will often do this two-step where they're like, well, we don't want the state to be involved with these things, but it should be handled through through private affirmation or whatever. But then when you post about how, well, hey, it's better to be straight than to be gay, or it's better to have children than to not have children, they then condemn you for passing judgment. And it's like, well, I think I can tell what you really want here, because you just want everything to be allowed, you want everything to be permissible. Your morality is essentially that if it's agreed to, then it's okay or that it's good, and that's certainly not my morality. So I wouldn't agree with this kind of thing. And then also this may be a break from some of the libertarians, but I think this idea, people are different. The average cop, I think there are bad cops. I think there are cops who abuse their authority. I'm not a wholly pro-cop guy in the slightest. But at the same time, I recognize that this is a job for, an average individual, essentially, okay? And the idea that I'm not saying their conscience should never enter into it, but to some extent, the idea that they are just following orders is not a wholly wrong idea to me. We want cops to be enforcing the law, not constantly making entirely, subjective judgments and just doing what they want all the time. And so, to me, something like in the Chauvin case, well, was he trained to do this? Is this what he was supposed to be doing? These are highly relevant facts to how I would judge, a case like this.
Well, I certainly, in a weird sense, even as you say it, people mock the Nuremberg defense of just following orders, and of course it was ruled at Nuremberg that is illegitimate. Also, this is kind of a bit of history that's lost, is that we did accept that defense for millions of Germans. Literally, they only prosecuted the top level Nazi guys, and then essentially at a certain level on down, they went, without saying it, they went, yeah, just taking orders is actually a legitimate defense, but it was almost like, well, what are we going to do? We're going to
I don't think
trials
that's
for every member of the society. But that being said, it also doesn't then remove the morality or the moral equation of what any Nazi may have done to somebody else. You know what I mean? So I get your point. I wouldn't say that it's wholly irrelevant what the training is.
76% elasticity.
That being said, I guess the answer is, if the job of law enforcement is going to be something that the regular person does, well, that's kind of why me and you are libertarians and want there to be kind of as few laws on the books as possible and as little interaction between that regular guy and the citizenry as possible.
Yeah, I'll give you an example then. I don't know if you'll find this thought experiment interesting, but it's an area in which like my thinking has changed as a libertarian, or as honestly like I came from, I probably wouldn't consider myself a classical liberal anymore, but like I came from that school of like we want all the laws to be written down, we want everything to be fair, but I've come to realize that this can also be an exploit of sorts. If I look at why for example is drinking not allowed in a public park? Well, this is really because there's a certain type of person we don't want to allow drinking, and it's not easy to write a rule that says, a couple who wants to sit on a blanket and bring out a bottle of wine and have a nice picnic in the park, well, that's allowed, but the bum, drinking out of a paper bag, we don't want that to be allowed. And there's all kinds of, what we're actually trying to do is come up with these bright line rules to police a norm that doesn't always have these bright lines. And I thought about it more, and like if let's suppose that I still like I live in a city, at least by New Hampshire standards, and we have parks all over the place. How do I actually want these parks to be policed? Well, what I would actually like is a cop who or some other agent, who roughly matches my values, who has a decent amount of subjectivity, but who has like a camera on him, so that he can be audited in terms of whether he was enforcing community standards or not. But there's a lot of things that we can't do because the rules have to be universal for everyone. But these rules are really just about preventing a certain sort of like lower class behavior, or whatever, and everyone's getting punished because that's the only way we can stop the thing. And I think this is like, this is a problem to me, and I would like to find better solutions than the status quo.
But yeah, well, look, I mean, I agree with you, and I think that I think a lot of this was why I understand like it's kind of played out at this point, but this was why a few years ago I got so big into all those like homeless guy in public school, or just the homeless encampments, or even talks about immigration with libertarians, because it seems like there is this thing going on that's kind of at a crisis state in the country, where like there's this major problem kind of with public property in general. And even in the example that you're giving there, it's like, yeah, the fact that like our cities have become disgusting and overrun and completely like unregulated public spaces, and then what ends up happening is this very weird dynamic where like, look, I know this for me personally, it ends up and I'm sure you can relate to this, as a father, it makes you almost care about money more than you otherwise would have to, because I feel like I have to keep making a ton of money to make sure that I can afford to opt out my family from all these public spaces that are such nightmares and get them into like a more expensive community, a more expensive school, a more expensive thing, because the state of the public everything is essentially that we either like have to have maximum rules for that need not apply to you, or we essentially have to have no rules because it would be offensive for us to enforce any rules again to people who are not you. It's kind of infuriating.
No, this is a huge problem, and it's so many things. It underlies so many things. Even something like housing costs, I think, is frequently driven by this, where a lot of the reason, of course, if you talk to the residents, they would never say it this way, but if you really dig in, a lot of the reasons that these areas are expensive is why have they zoned out cheaper housing, why have they zoned out apartments, is because they don't want lower class people living in that area. But even truthfully, it's not even just lower class people, it's just this portion of the lower class, and there's no way of dealing with them. Like there are, I want to be clear that like there are plenty of people who are lower in income who nonetheless they're not littering, and they're not committing crimes, and they're not making their neighborhood worse. So I want to be clear that it's a minority of them that are doing this, but they are disproportionately lower class people, and they ruin their neighborhoods. I mean, they create like such outsized negative impacts, and it affects property prices, it affects our public transit, it affects our school system. It's everywhere, and I see it as like one of the root problems that we're not addressing or not getting to. Is how we do it. Is how we deal with this, and it's something that makes everything more expensive too. When we're talking about affordability is obviously a big issue with younger people, and part of the reason the nice areas are expensive is because this is a way of solving this problem. But there are potentially much cheaper ways of solving this if we had the will to do it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So you had mentioned kind of, your attitude toward Trump and MAGA, and I think there's a big gap between me and you on this issue. So let's kind of talk about this a little bit. I mean, it seems to me that so if we were zooming out and speaking of Donald Trump, or if we were speaking about Donald Trump 5 years ago or 4 years ago or a year and a half ago, I mean, there's no question I would have agreed with you that, like, yeah, there was real value in Donald Trump, just not even politically, but just culturally being this huge, like, giant middle finger to PC orthodoxies, wokeism, gay race communism, whatever you want to call it. And I think that there was real benefit in that. I basically, at this point, think all of that benefit has already been achieved. And if anything, the direction Donald Trump's going in now is just kind of tarnishing the whole brand, so it's kind of a negative. But I don't know. I mean, I think we see this pretty differently. I do not at all think, like, I know when we were tweeting back and forth, you had sent me the video, which I believe was Chris Rufo and a host over at The Blaze, saying that really libertarians shouldn't be, like, so harsh in criticizing Trump. They should recognize that we're junior partners here and we'll still get something, just not that much, but we should still kind of be more agreeable. I really don't see things this way, so what am I missing? Pitch me on why I should still love Donald Trump.
Well, like, again, I'm not going to be here and be like a wholesale defender of Trump. So there's all kinds of specific things you can point out that he's done that I wouldn't like and wouldn't approve of. And that was Rufo and Lomas, Jonathan Kieferman talking, and I am a fan of his. He's doing, actually, his publisher, Passage Press, just put out a great book on the whole George Floyd case. Right there, what he's doing with his work is great. But from New Hampshire's perspective, right, like from the world that I want to live in, I think, like, Trump is a socialist, right? From the perspective of what is possible in our political reality today, I don't see someone who is better than him, who is feasible to center around. And to me, politics is the art of the possible. So who's better? Like, even Massey, who is clearly better than him in lots of ways from a libertarian perspective, is actually not better than Trump on key areas of the culture war or pulling the culture, rightward. Like, Massey is going on, testifying to Congress and talking about, how this gun control legislation is racist, or whatever. And maybe it is. I'm not saying Massey's argument is wrong, but this is not an argument you would get from Trump. This is attempting to win inside of a leftist, kind of frame. And so, to me, it's always like, well, who's better? Who can do a better job? I don't even see someone behind Trump who's ready to talk the way that Trump is, about immigration. Like, Trump is willing to be like, yeah, we don't want anyone from Somalia. But how many Republicans are willing to say that today? This is not something that is really, how many libertarians are willing to say that, today? This is not something that,
we're just trying to get him to stop bombing Somalia. But
I'm not gonna, again, as I said, when we get the specifics, like, I would prefer that gas was not $4.50. I'm not going to argue against that.
Sure. Well, I would just say, number one, I mean, look, personally, I don't, like, as you said, the point, I mean, I don't know the specifics, but I bet Thomas Massey's right about what he's saying. And, like, I don't personally mind someone pointing out that if there is a law on the books that actually is being used in a fucked up way against one race, calling it racist, in the same way that I wouldn't mind calling DEI laws racist, even if that is, okay, you can say that's embracing the left's framework. I mean, I get your point on that, but, I mean, Donald Trump embraces the left's framework on a lot of different issues. He's a boomer liberal, essentially. But if your point is that Donald Trump is more crude and crass, and in some ways in being that way, it does just tear down the kind of facade of woke politeness or something like that, I would not argue with you on that. There's no question that there's no individual who does that like Trump.
Like, look, I'm still a huge fan of Massey, still a huge fan of Rand Paul, but they don't talk about certain issues, immigration being a key one, in the way that I would like them to talk about it. Like, the views that they have are rare to find worldwide, and they still, aren't sort of recognizing, this issue, and this is part of what I think is really hard. I like, and I still, by the way, I still like the idea of, certain types of high-skilled immigration. I recognize that there are talented people all over the world. I'm very pro-building. I'm very pro-technology, advancing into the future, productivity. I'm not a pure GDP numbers go up kind of person, but I am the kind of person who recognizes that talent is rare, and we want to be an America that's being exceptional and achieving things. But there's massive there's massive sympathy, not just on the left, but among huge portions of the right, towards, the oppressed immigrant, class or whatever. And I think that a huge amount of politics is downstream of culture and demographics. And so having a leader who is good on those issues, like Trump has, Trump has reduced, I believe we're negative migration. People who ought to be leaving America are leaving. We're bringing in people from, South Africa who are way more likely to be compatible American on average than the types of people who were bringing in before. And I think this is all very, very positive stuff. I'm very pro New Hampshire. I think not entirely the reason New Hampshire works. We are different from Vermont, but part of why New Hampshire works, is the demographics, and these issues matter. It's not random. Political beliefs are not random, and so to be ignoring this, I think is foolish.
Well, certainly, I think no one could even argue that in a democratic system, the beliefs of the demographics in your geographical area are the whole thing. I mean, that's what ends up, making the difference. So here's where I would kind of agree with you. I think that, I think there is something to guys like Massey and Paul. They're almost a little bit limited in their own in their own vocabulary about how exactly to talk about what we're really dealing with here. There was an old tweet of mine that it's like taken out of context and going viral now by people who don't like me, but where I said something like, I'm not for closed borders, but what I was actually doing was arguing back with another libertarian who was like, well, you're for closed borders, and I was like, well, no, I'm not for open borders, but I'm not for, and essentially what I meant by that is I'm not saying there should be no immigrants ever coming in. I'm saying having a system where millions of people from third world countries pour in an unaccountable manner against the wishes of the domestic population is suicide and is insane. And what people are, it's like the conversation isn't even really about immigration here. We're talking about mass migration. We're talking about what I know it's become the dirty word, but replacement levels of immigration, where you're sending in, over a few short decades, tens of millions, and then over a few short years, another 10 million or something like this. This is, and there is something about to capture, that is such a profound crime. You could argue it's the most profound crime that a government could commit against their citizenry, is to actually replace the culture and the people against their will. And so it's important to have language to really oppose that. Okay, but there is some truth to that. But also, essentially what Donald Trump's done a good job on is securing the border. He hasn't really been getting the people to leave. Rather, deportations really aren't the strong suit of this administration. But he did secure the border, and that is true. But then there's also a lot of other really important things. And so, to me, you got, even in... Look, I'm not, in the context of this show, I'm not a political actor. I'm not, thinking about, sometimes I try to be one, but I really just talk about how I feel about all these things. But even if I was being a political actor, I would say that Donald Trump, by launching this, disastrous war, by going in the direction that he's moved here, he's ended up blowing the whole coalition that's surrounding, people like that. And for libertarians, if we were going to play a role of saying, hey, we will support you if you give us some promises, it makes sense just as a political action that it would be we also then oppose you if you break a bunch of those promises. Alright guys, let's take a moment and thank our sponsor for today's show, which is Body Brain Coffee. Of course, the brainchild of Louis J. Gomez, the great Louis J. Gomez. Body Brain Coffee is awesome. I drink a cup of it every day and I've never felt better. So I highly do recommend this stuff. If you're a guy, you're around my age, you're looking for a way to naturally boost testosterone, you don't have to take pills or powder or any of that. It's just you always drink a cup of coffee every day, so just drink a cup of coffee every day. That's it. And they just launched the creamer as well, which is delicious. So now you got all types of different options. Also, as I always tell you guys, Louis J. Gomez makes
Bet you can't run as fast as T-Mobile. Bet you I can. Well, you better pick it up, because T-Mobile now has the fastest 5G home internet. Watch this. I'm okay.
T-Mobile now has the fastest 5G home internet, just $35 a month.
What the hell did you get into last night? I have no...
The FBI has just announced a major arrest linked to getting spy equipment, technology, computer systems, nuclear stuff to Iran. We're going to go through all of that, some DHS situation, as well as the Director of National Intelligence. To help me go through all that, I have Charles Marino. Chuck, thank you for joining me.
Good to see you, Stephen. Good to be back.
Oh, thank you for taking time to come on. Chuck is a national security expert, former Secret Service, senior advisor to the Secretary of Homeland Security. The FBI has made this major arrest. Let me just read for the audience a brief summary. So federal agents raided a $35 million Newport Beach, California mansion and arrested tech executive Jamshid Gomi, a dual U.S.-Iranian citizen, accused of secretly funneling American computer hardware to Iran's military, as well as their nuclear weapons
Kia
program.
Forte. Kia
Gomi,
boys. Okay.
allegedly used a Tehran-Iran.
Yeah, absolutely. There's really no rhyme or reason to his maneuvers here. A lot of the time, I can understand when he's stuck in traffic and he's just trying to get away from some of the slow-moving cars. But there's been times when he's just weaving in and out for no clear reason. As he comes up to the Fairplex exit now here under the freeway, so we should see him pop out
He's been
the other
prosecuted.
side here.
He makes $10 million a year, yet he tells the IRS
So
that he only makes
yeah, a lot more traffic here. This is the merge with the 57 and the 60, so it's always really busy. And in this case, obviously, you can see that it's no different than what we're used to seeing here at this interchange. I am hearing the dispatcher here that's talking to the units, and it sounds like the watch commander has said that the airship can stay over the chase, continuing to track it, but no ground units
within our own borders, which, as you can see over my left shoulder, that's what I wrote about here during the Biden border crisis. And this is not only about illegal immigration. We have to understand that the legal pathways
things like
into
that.
this country
So
were also
I think that
and
it's
have been
quite
exploited under
it might be
previous
quite
administrations. So
reasonable
we have
in the
very
state legislature in New
significant
Hampshire,
that are here
where you have
in
a
the
real
country in the
presence
United
and you
States
really
already.
have been building
And it also
momentum to
tells
be
me
like,
that the
listen guys,
FBI
this is the
started
time
all of
where we're going to have
which
to
is-
moderate. In
which
fact,
is a
I think I
big
remember
part of
talking
the
with
story.
you
They
years ago
recognize
about
here
how
that
I
the
almost go
threats
that
from many
like
of our
more of the like
adversaries,
Nick Sarwark types
China,
in the Libertarian
Russia,
Party. I go,
North
they
Korea,
kind of would
are
have a
already
point
here in the
if
United
Gary
States,
Johnson
and
had
that the
gotten
threats
32%
against the
of the
country and
vote,
against the
and you were like,
American
guys,
public
we just
are gonna
need to
come
like get
in
a
many
few more points here. But when your big win is that you got 5%, it's like, no, dude, this is the time to be more radical because you kind of have to go for it. So I do think there's just, like, that might really make sense within New Hampshire state politics, but on the federal level, and especially when you get, again, this is all a balancing act, right? Like, if it felt like in almost all ways, Donald Trump was a huge improvement over the Democrats. But there were a few issues on the margins that weren't very good. I would agree with, like I'm saying, it's not, I would agree with the principle. Like, yeah, come on, dude, we're getting some huge wins here. We got to stick by it. Let's stay in the coalition. When you're spending more money, he's probably spending double what Obama was spending when he was in. He's spending more money than Joe Biden did in the wake of COVID. And you're launching wars of aggression. And again, fair enough that you know, I focus on the foreign policy more than other stuff. But like, I mean, dude, like the amount of devastation that this thing has already caused. It's not just like there's a few cents up at the pump. It's like the global economy has been starved of energy for 2 months now. This is going to cause major problems. Anyway, I just go at a certain point. I don't think this is the correct strategy. I think essentially what ends up happening is that libertarians lose, essentially we lose our reputations, we lose any of our standing as truth tellers, which then undercuts our ability to have political options going forward. But I would say, isn't it the case then, like for someone from your perspective, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but you really think the Free State Project is the best thing, is the best libertarian strategy, right? I mean, that's the most important thing to you, is kind of like the health of that project.
For sure. So I mean, well, I just think I see libertarians as, and I'll use some leftist language here, they're a dominated minority. You know, our preference is if you're a right-wing libertarian, you're 5% of the population in America, you know, and so 5% of the population never gets what they want. But when 5% of the population concentrates in one place, you know, the most successful anarchists in America are the Amish. The Amish don't have to pay Social Security. They don't have to register for the draft. They did this by being a physically concentrated population who, you know, was willing to stand up. You can look at what the Mormons have been able to achieve in Utah. You can look at, I wouldn't always endorse everything they do. You can look at what the Hasidic Jews have done in New Jersey and you know, New York, where they've, you know, sort of taken over these local towns. And this is a real strategy that works. It does work here in New Hampshire, where, you know, again, if something happens, I have a whole team of people behind me, not just people. I have people in positions of power. We have influence and control over various institutions. You know, we're doing our own sort of march to the institutions here. And so to me, this is a real strategy. A democracy in general, whether it's the Free State movement or something else, by the way, it might be something else, but a democracy has never voted itself out of socialism. We haven't seen, you know, we basically continue to expand the franchise. What I call the scariest graph in the world is to look at the percentage of GDP that is controlled by governments, not just in America, but across Europe, and it's a line that just goes nothing but up for 120 straight years. And so, how do we get out of it? We managed to stay afloat, quite frankly, thankfully to entrepreneurs and innovative people that continue to make us more you know, more productive. And so I will say, like, yeah, my life is nonetheless better. Despite this increasing parasite load of my government, my life is better than it was in the past. So I'm not here, you know, dooming about it, but this doesn't seem sustainable over time, you know, unless we're expecting just infinite productivity gains to always save us. And so something new has to come about. It's inevitable. The pressure and the incentive to create something new is higher than it ever is before. This is also what I'm working on. I don't know how much you want to get into on the show, but it's actually a big part of what I'm working on with the Free State Party, which is my new, which has been my new venture. And if we're talking about saving America, you know, it's got to be centering around someone who can actually solve these problems, which as much as I would like to happen in this purely voluntary way, I think if you're talking about saving America, you need someone with like a little bit more of like an energy like a Millay or even a Bucali, who I want to be very clear is not a libertarian in many ways, but there has to be someone who's willing to, you know, look, Trump disappoints me in this area. I wish he was stronger. He doesn't do enough. You know, but we are in a system that is so against us, that is so weighted against us, where it's not
it's not just the government, but it's like, it's all of the bureaucracies, it's all of the universities, it's all of these institutions. And this is, again, also why, despite not liking a lot of what Trump does, I'm not eager to condemn it, because he's like the first thing I've seen in my life. And I didn't even get this at first. I wasn't like a huge Trump fan in 2016. I was by 2020, but I was not a huge fan of Trump in 2016. It took me a while to get this, to understand that he's the first thing that is disruptive to the system, that threatens the system, like even a little bit. And so I'm just not eager to jump away from that until I see my ability to jump to something better. And someone like Massey, again, who I love, like, his popularity,
that's really valuable.
I'm glad he's getting more popular. I would love if he could become president, but he's not getting popular by talking about cutting spending, right? He's got popular by talking about Epstein stuff and the war in Iran. And I think a lot of this popularity is coming from people who are happy to support him because they see him as oppositional to Trump. But if it ever came to Massey enacting a right-wing libertarian agenda, would turn on them in a second, because they don't want to cut food stamps or spending or shrink the regulatory state. They just like that he's sticking his thumb in the eye of Trump, which I'm not saying Trump is entirely undeserving of, so I'm not here to like condemn Massey and say he's entirely
But Donald Trump is the guy, like, when Thomas Massey did vote against the giant spending bill in COVID that caused so much of the inflation, Trump's the guy who's going to demonize him and send all of his people to attack him. So, yes, it might be the case that Thomas Massey appeals to a lot of people, but then when it gets down to the business of cutting food stamps, they're going to have a problem. Donald Trump's, there's no illusion that he's ever even going to get down to the business of cutting food stamps or anything like that.
I will say, my understanding is that Trump wanted more cuts than Congress was willing to deliver for him. That this was, not that, I'm not trying to portray Trump as a Massey-like figure in terms of the budget. But I've seen, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, I've seen some solid evidence that, like, what Trump wanted more cuts than Congress was willing to deliver. And so it was actually Congress that has been inhibiting the ability to do more of that.
The first spending bill that Trump signed into law in 2017 was the highest spending bill in the history of the country at the time, and he promised that that was the last one. He would sign this one, but he would never sign another bill that blew up the budget, and then he signed like 5 more since then. So anyway, but regardless of that, I think there's, okay, I think that, well, let me say it like this, because I endorse the Free State Project. I've always thought it's a great idea, and in fact, if you're a listener of the show, or if you really believe in libertarianism, I think it's a great thing to consider. If you got a family, you got the means, and you can do it, or if you, for whatever reason, can, if you're a young single guy and you can do, I think it would be a great thing to do. You kind of have a built-in community, and I think you guys have made some real tangible wins for liberty, and it's great. I would also wonder, and then, honestly, this is a question I don't really know the answer to. But, like, how much do you think Ron Paul running for president helped the Free State Project? Like, how many people in New Hampshire who are there because were introduced to these ideas or convinced of the ideas by Ron Paul and then found out about the Free State Project? And I'm not saying it's like the whole thing or anything like that, but my guess would be, like, that was a substantial help.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, and my attitude towards Massey would be, look, if Ron Paul, similar to if Ron Paul was running again, it'd be like, well, like, look, this probably isn't going to work, but I hope that you try your best, and if in a couple of years it didn't work, consider this other solution that might work better.
And hopefully there's, but I'm just saying, like, I would even argue just from your perspective, for just like caring about the Free State Project. Dude, I mean, the thing that Thomas Massey, the thing about it is this, right? It's like, you could have, when Ron Paul was first running for president, you could have said, yeah, dude, he's talking about all this anti-war stuff, and that's gonna mean that people like me, like a young leftist, yeah, I like him for that, but I'm not going to like him for his economic stuff. But the truth is that I liked him so much for that I went, let me read a couple of these books he's recommending about this economic stuff. Now again, I'm not saying we're going to get 51% of the population, but you have it set up right now where, look, the entire country, and in small part, the libertarians played a role in this. The entire country recognizes the global war on terrorism as an absolute catastrophe, just a disastrous failure of the 21st century that did so much damage to this country.
it was damn near unanimous outside of the Israel lobby that the last thing we want is another war of choice. The young people now hate Donald Trump's guts. Thomas Massey is maybe the most popular political figure amongst young people in the country. And if he runs for president right now, just because of the way things are set up, he's going to have a huge
For my friend Luke.
run. I'm not saying like we don't know what would happen. It will be a big run with major, bigger than corporate media covering it. You're going to see an army of young people get interested in these ideas again. It's the best recruitment tool for the Free State Project imaginable.
Yeah, no, I'm not here to say Massey shouldn't run. I effectively think that Massey running would be beneficial for the reasons that you say. I would hope that he incorporates, at least as part of his messaging, some of the stuff that he's gotten away from, I think, in the last year or two. Not because I think he doesn't believe it, because look, I think Massey's a very savvy political actor who's playing a game. Who I don't think he wanted to lose his primary, but he was trying to set himself up as someone who could stand up to Donald Trump, who wasn't under Donald Trump's thumb, who had enough of an audience and enough of a following that he was an independent man, and that would have put him in a very powerful position, going into a primary 2 years from now. I think he maybe still can do well in that primary. I think I would say I support him running for much of the reasons that you say. I would hope that he talks more about some of the stuff he's gotten away from, about the degree to which the regulatory state is inhibiting things, the degree to which we need free markets to bring down prices, that it's social spending. Like this is something that it's like 80 to 85% of federal government spending is social welfare. And so the wars, again, clearly very bad, and it can be difficult to tabulate all the costs because I think there are costs beyond the exact sticker prices, but it's social welfare. I mean, this alliance between the people receiving social welfare, the politicians who give it to them, and this massive class of either bureaucrats or sort of pseudo-government workers because they're in the healthcare industry or all of this stuff. I mean, this is what we're up against. I mean, it's in the school districts. You have these massive. All these bureaucrats, all of these teachers, the unions, they're all whipping their votes so they get more money for themselves, extracting more money from the pie. This rot that exists in America. This is definitely, at least for me personally, like the more animating, issue. And I want to see politicians talking about this and bringing attention to this, because I think if we don't get through this problem, we're not going to sort of strike the root, as it were.
All right, guys, let's take a moment and thank our sponsor for today's show, which is Sheath Underwear, the underwear of legends. I've been telling you guys about Sheath Underwear for, I think, 4 years now. They've been a long-time loyal sponsor of this show, and the product
that is put forth for the position will possess extensive experience in the intelligence sector, intelligence field. It doesn't say government, it doesn't say private sector, and intelligence, as we know, is a very broad term. But if you look for an immediate fill-in, somebody to manage operations, somebody to manage and deconflict and make sure that information is making its way, to include, by the way, to the President of the United States, Vice President of the United States.
I completely agree with you on that. And I also think there's just such a golden opportunity for, say, a Thomas Massey to talk about this stuff, because, even like the kind of unaffordability thing that is in the popular lexicon now, he's just got such a great explanation for, just look at monetary policy and regulatory policy and look how much our own policies make things so much more expensive. So I completely agree. I hope he would talk a lot about that stuff, but I also think he's the only one who maybe even would, and he is good on that stuff, whereas without him, that'll just never even become an issue that anyone talks about. It'll kind of be as if it doesn't, as if it doesn't exist.
Not from New Jersey, came from Portland to leave.
Were there other things like, because, okay, so fair enough, then we don't really have that much areas of disagreement, I guess, on that, as you're also rooting for Massey to run. You did say as one of the topics that Israel would be something to talk about, because again, I don't know exactly where you stand on this, but it does seem like there's a gap between me and you, and I think I've seen like you be kind of critical on what you might describe as libertarians putting too much emphasis on Israel. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably a bit of a centrist maybe on this issue. Like I do
We can control our
I
building.
do see there being
for our own building.
disproportionate. Well, this also, the terms get very overloaded. So we have Israel. We have sort of Zionists, which we might say is a person who supports Israel politically. I feel like Zionist tends to mean supports Israel politically rather than just supports the idea of a Jewish state. I think Zionist is more used modern. And then we have Jews generally as as an ethnic class, which in America mostly means Ashkenazi Jews, but could mean other types of could mean other types of Jews. I think this is I wish the whole thing would go away. Like, to me, this is an area where like people kind of get brainworms from both sides, and so there's this class of people who have become very more than anti-Israel. I think being against Israel, if you're just cleanly against Israel, that's an understandable position. I think some people extend it beyond that, to being anti-Jewish, generally, which here, I think, I actually would both defend and disagree with. There's a sense in which, like, I think anyone who's against all Jews, I think is kind of crazy. Jews have contributed tremendous amounts to economy, to innovation, like, the amounts of, Jews are just, Jews seem to be remarkably able people in terms of contributions to sciences and various areas. They also are disproportionately progressive. They're disproportionately socially progressive, and so if you're a social conservative, I think it's fine to say, I wouldn't want to live in an area that's too Jewish. This is something people should be allowed to say. I think Jews seem to have a disproportionate influence on politics. We can debate those reasons why, but they seem to bat above their population level. Almost the opposite of Asians, who seem to bat below their population level. And so whether this is because of cultural reasons, ethnic reasons, it's unclear. I wish we could just kind of talk about this stuff, more frankly. I think the people who kind of see Israel or Jews around every corner, I think these people are kind of crazy. I think they tend to be a little bit schizo, and they're very angry and disagreeable people. And I also think this is a coalition that it's like tough to get anything done with. Like, angry, disagreeable, schizophrenic people, just like they'll end up being that way towards you in the future. You can't just build.
Yes, I agree. I completely agree with that. Yeah.
I think even Nick Fuentes has seen this a little.
Oh yeah. Well, there was one of the real interesting dynamics of my last conversation with him is seeing that. No, listen. I mean, the people who, again, as I've said it before, I think we saw this with wokeism, and kind of the anti-white racialism that was very popular there, and I would argue that you see this with kind of like neoconservatism or like old like Frank Gaffney kind of like right-wing radio, when they'd be talking about like they're going to build a mosque where 9/11 was, when actually when you look into it, it was like 3 blocks from 9/11. It was this tiny, like there's something about racialism that becomes like low IQ catnip. Like people just really get into it. It hits something in our tribe, and again, that's not to your point. That doesn't mean like you couldn't have like honest high IQ conversations about like the differences between different racial groups or you know what I'm saying? Like there's that, but there is something where it just becomes like in the hands of the wrong people, it does become that. So I completely agree with that. I do think though that there's a kind of separate world that I think is more representative of my camp, and I think people who listen to this show, at least more likely, who do kind of recognize that like no, like it is absolutely the case that this one foreign lobby has a nearly ironclad grip on American foreign policy, to the point that we are involved in conflicts that we like need not be involved in at all. Like it's like conflicts like with Iran, where there was a completely reasonable deal that was on the table, and it is this lobby and this foreign government who worked so hard to break it up and draw us into this war. And this is such a big deal, not just because war is like one of, if not the worst things that governments do, and that people are dying, but also it's enormously expensive, and also the entire young generation is against it. It just seems to me that obviously libertarians should be leading the charge and opposing this stuff too, because yes, everything we're against, and it's kind of the issue of our time. So I get your point. I don't think I disagreed with anything you said there, but I still feel that like being against this makes all the sense in the world.
where to show
Yeah, I think it makes sense to be against it. I think, as you basically said, like the people who are always looking for like a scapegoat or this attitude that things are being done to them. You know, I think that's the area where I would tend to disagree because
whether they're true or false,
like
what the issues
this stuff,
are,
and this isn't an endorsement of it. I want to be clear. This is not an endorsement of it. But if we are looking at like, well, where the where's the blame actually?
And Democrats have
you know,
proven that
lie.
they're willing
Like,
to
look, there are a lot of
their own
evangelical Christians who are and are very sympathetic to the cause of, you know, to the cause of Israel. You know, and there are a number. There's even this is basically increasingly a right-left issue where it's basically the left tends to be more sympathetic to the Palestinians, you know, versus the Jews. The right tends to be more sympathetic to, or I guess I should say the Israelis. The right tends to be more sympathetic to the Israelis than to the Palestinians. It used to be that both sides were sympathetic to the Israelis versus the Palestinians, and now on the left, this issue has kind of flipped.
But generally, but you got to throw in the generational caveat there, because honestly, the young people on the right are totally against Israel too. I mean, it really is the boomer cons versus everyone else at this point, which is why you see the overall approval is like so bad for Israel now.
Yeah, well, look, this is.
On November 29th,
I never go again. Similar to the Trump kind of thing, I'm not going to. In fact, I know that Israel does a number of things that I would disagree with. Would not like my money to be going to. Israel is also a wealthy nation. Like, you know, my view, I'm like an anarcho-capitalist at heart. Like, look, let Israel buy these weapons on the free market. Like, let's stop putting our tax money to it. Let's stop supporting it. Let's stop endorsing it. You know, let Israel take care of, you know, let Israel take care of itself. Israel can buy weapons from American weapons manufacturers and help boost our economy and help give people jobs. But we're not going to pay for it. You know, we're not going to subsidize it. You know, that would certainly be, you know, my preferred answer to this kind of thing. Not an endorsement of what Israel does, nor is Israel. I would much rather live in America than Israel. I'd rather live in America than Germany. I also wouldn't have a problem saying that, you know, Germany or Israel are both nations I would prefer to live in. You know, compared to Palestine or compared to much of the. You know, compared to much of the Middle East. And so, you know, to be on the continuum of like Western civilization versus barbarism, you know, Jews are closer, Israel is closer to the kind of nation that I would want to live in. Again, not endorsing. The whole thing just seems like a mess. It just seems like you have this intractable conflict, and then both sides continue to, you know, sort of break what I would consider to be decency or the ways that I would want. You know, ideally that both sides would be behaving, and you now have this conflict where it's very intractable. There's a lot of hatred on both sides, and you know, I would prefer to just not be involved in it at all, and let them sort of fight it out. I hate that this is
Agreed. Yes. All right. Listen. Let's use that because it's a good transition because we're coming up against the end of time here. But I do want to at least talk about the LP for a couple minutes here. And you just said intractable conflict that is a waste of time. And so this does like a fitting transition. So you did this thing, which I'm sure a lot of the listeners had seen, where you went and you ran for chair of the Libertarian Party on the platform of abolishing the whole thing, which of course is a suicide mission. I mean, you're well aware that obviously you're not going to win a room full of people who are all dedicated to doing a thing that we should
stop doing. I got 7% though.
I got 7%, which is pretty hilarious. It is, but you had this moment where you kind of went off and it went viral of you kind of calling out the LP membership to their face and saying that, like, look, a lot of you guys are the problem for why you. I mean, look, I said when I was on Liam McCullum's show the other day, where I was just making the point that, like for example, it's not like let's say I am a more right-leaning libertarian, or you're a more right-leaning libertarian, and you know you go do podcasts and talk about this stuff, or I go do podcasts and talk about this stuff. And then Chase Oliver is a more left-leaning libertarian. But like, so if I get on Rogan and Tucker and talk, he gets on, the big left-wing podcasts or whatever. But it's like they don't even do that. They're not even like involved in a bigger conversation on the left the way we are on the right, or in the middle or wherever. And you're like, it almost seems like you guys only exist to be an albatross around our necks. Like, I don't see what else. I don't see what else is accomplished by the existence of Joe Jorgensen and some of these people, other than just when me and you will be talking to like a right winger, they go, "Oh yeah, well, what are you, like Chase Oliver or something like that?" And then you gotta go, "No, we're a whole different thing." Like, I don't know. It just seems so. I will admit there was something very cathartic about that moment where you told all of them that, like, no, the problem here is you, and you're embarrassing the rest of us.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I knew they were kind of coming after me, and I'm not one to play defense, so, I knew that they were going to attempt to disaffiliate New Hampshire. And so, my opening offer was, I'll disaffiliate you. Like, I don't know how to do anything but offense. So, like, that's my opening offer. I just, look, I mostly shoot from the hip and just say what I think is true. And one, this is an easier strategy. I don't have to like plot. And then two, it's mostly worked for me. Like even all this, this is we now will have this like big, legal fight, but it's not clear to me that I'm not getting what I want. Like now it's New Hampshire libertarians are set up against the rest of the LP. And, when I was out there, we were talking on the plane right out and on the trip out, like, well, the free state was there's like 15 free staters who went out there and we were like, well, how many people from the LP do you think you would like even want to move to New Hampshire? We were like, well, maybe like a third. And we were out there and they were like, well, maybe a 10. Like, it's just like a lot of these people aren't the kinds of people who I'd even want to come to New Hampshire at this point. Similar, you said you were listening to Tom Woodcock's podcast, like Tom was saying, like these people exist in like their own island that's like completely separate from the rest of the libertarian movement. It's like, who are these people? And then they do exactly what you said, is they maintain this system of like epistemic closure where they won't engage or talk. Like Chase Oliver was, of course, invited to go on the Tim Pool show with me. He's invited to go on a number of podcasts.
I invited him on this show. I invited him on this show. He didn't do my show. I mean, it just, dude, you're running. You have to. I don't know. It seems crazy.
It makes sense. Right, no, it makes sense. And because again, my mentality is the exact opposite. I'll walk into a den of lions. I even did. I shouldn't mention them on your show, but I will. I did like the Fakertarians podcast like 3 years ago. And it was 6-on-1. There was 6 of them, like attacking me at the same time. I'm like, this is fine because I know it's true. It's not going to be a problem. But they're like something that is part of actually pushed me towards being more rightward is like the left just exists in this hive mind where there's things that like you can't even talk about. They have these tools and methods of like maintaining closure so that the ideas don't even enter their brain. And it's like, well, if this is what I'm dealing with, then there's no cooperation to be, had. Like, I was always open-minded about the idea of cooperating with these people. I cooperate and find ways of working with people, even if we disagree in many ways. And I've said this before, I'll say it here, like, look, Chase Oliver would be the best Democrat in the country, or like near the best Democrat in the country, of course, but they're not interested in doing that. They're interested in taking libertarianism and painting it as, this very different thing. And it's like, well, this is what creates all of the conflict. I think the whole situation is unfortunate. I think what LP National is doing is, of course, unfair to New Hampshire. They're trying to disaffiliate. We're the most successful affiliate. We have the most membership per capita. We have the most following on social media. We have all these elected people. Like, what we're doing in New Hampshire works. We generate earned media all the time. Like, and so a lot of it is bitterness. From these people seeing something that works that they can't do. And so I think the whole situation is unfortunate, but from the perspective of the Free State movement, from the perspective of New Hampshire, I think the more we differentiate ourselves, it's not clear this is bad for what I want either. So,
no, I think listen, I agree with you. And just to back up your point, I mean, if you remember when they're literally, what was it? What year was this in? 2021? When they literally, like, tried to seize the New Hampshire party and straight up like committed actual crimes and violations of libertarian principles, like the most basic libertarian principle, like stole data and that dude Bishop Henchman had to like delete all of his emails and resign immediately, and there weren't calls to disaffiliate over that. So the idea that just like, oh, you have some opinions that National doesn't like, I mean, I don't know, this is just like, it shows you, man, and this is, again, Rothbard wrote about this in like 1987. But the thing is that the Libertarian Party, what ends up happening is that it's this fringe movement, it attracts some fringe people, which, hey, listen, me and you could probably fall into that category, so whatever, but like, that's okay. But it's these fringe people who are really driven by like just anti-bourgeois norms. That's really what they're driven by. And they will use libertarian philosophy in this very manipulative way. So like, if I say something, if I go like, oh, there's no such thing as a trans woman, like gender is biological, you know, that you can't switch your sex, and then they'll go, it doesn't violate the non-aggression principle, why do you care? And you'll go, hey, what I just said doesn't violate the non-aggression principle, so why do you care? Like, no, you're just using this in a manipulative way, really what you're against. And the thing is that guys like me and you believe in private property and voluntary interactions. We believe in peace and business and prosperity and civilization. And we have no problem with bourgeois norms. We think those are kind of great. We're dads, and dads have expectations about how others are to behave, and dads have rules on their property. And so there is this thing where it's like, hey dude, we're using the same term, but we're not the same thing. And so I think your point kind of is that like, at that point, and this is the conclusion that Rothbard came to, and this is when he started calling himself paleo-libertarians, at that point, you're like, it probably makes more sense to accent the differences here and make it clear that like we're not on the same thing. And I guess perhaps in that sense, I think maybe it's a good thing that New Hampshire was disaffiliated, at least just to create kind of like a separation of publicly in people's minds.
Yeah, well, the disaffiliation is not official yet. That will be an ongoing fight. You know, we're not interested in giving up our name. We do feel we're the rightful affiliate. We have a website up at savelpnh.com for anyone who's interested in learning more about the case. But yeah, there's something to. We had Kevin Dolan out recently. He posts on Twitter as Extra Dead JCB, that's how most people know him. He is like 100,000 or so followers, and he was talking about being, sort of like, post-ideology, where it's not, like, there might be one of these people who, like, I agree with on political philosophy, 98% of the way, but it's like, well, would I want you to live next door to me? Like, would I, would I trust you as my neighbor? Here's a name you maybe haven't heard in a while, but, Reed Coverdale, who's, I love Reed very well. He's married now.
Congratulations. Reed just got married. Yeah, congratulations, Reed.
Yeah. And, he was talking about how, like, and by the way, the libertarians in New Hampshire tend to not be this type, but Reed was talking about how, like, well, like, who would I rather have as a neighbor? Like, one of these, like, left libertarian people, or, like, the conservative Christian who wants to bomb Iran. Reed might theoretically agree, or I might theoretically agree more with the left libertarian on policy, but like, I don't want this guy as a neighbor, whereas like the Christian conservative who wants to bomb Iran is like, oh, no, they're going to be overall a decent person, they're going to be a good neighbor.
No, that's right. Listen, there's a whole lot of Fox News watching dads who are just great people, who are just like, I don't know, they're getting their news from Mark Levin, and so that's what they think the story is. It's an important thing. It's an important thing to understand also, I think, that in life, because look, libertarians essentially believe that none of this shit should exist at all anyway, right? Like, even when me and you are talking about Israel, if we have slightly different opinions, the thing we both agree on is like, we shouldn't even be talking about any of this because none of this should be a thing at all, right? Like an abolitionist doesn't think we should even be having conversations about slavery, ideally, because it just shouldn't exist. And then, if all that stuff didn't exist, what you're talking about would kind of be all that's left. And that would be like the most important thing. Is this guy a good person? Do I want to live next door to him? Is he a contributor to his community? Like, these things are actually in many ways more important values. Like I would not, if there was someone who was, let's just say they were the exact type of libertarian that I am. They agree with me on every single issue, but that person didn't take care of their kids, cheated on their wife, was in debt to a bunch of people in the neighborhood, and then there's some socialist over here who just likes listening to like Majority Report and Ben Burgess podcasts, but is like a good dude. Yeah, that actually matters more in terms of your moral character than what you say your political view is, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I know you didn't like the example being a leftist. And
no, it's good. You gotta.
More often than not, the example would be a right-winger. The example would be, and look, this is one of the things that, like, you could say, even though on all of the areas where they disagree, I agree with Ron Paul more than Pat Buchanan. However, I'd probably rather be neighbors with if I just had to be like the average Pat Buchanan fan, like just throw a dart and I don't know what I'm gonna hit, there's a lot more risk in that Ron Paul pool than there is in the Pat Buchanan one.
Yeah, I think this is very true. And something I've come to realize about politics is, like, libertarians like to pretend that their positions are, like, purely philosophical. I think this is actually true for very few of them. I think ultimately, like, pretty much everyone's politics are about, well, what would things look like on the other side? And so, to me, I am a libertarian because I believe if there were greater competition, I don't believe, even if, I'm a borderline anarchist, but to me anarchy means competing authorities, competing voluntary authorities, not some stateless society where there's no structure. And so I am a libertarian or a right-wing libertarian because I believe, like, I want there to be more order. I believe if they, at least in some ways, maybe not in all ways, but but I believe it's like the government. I believe greater competition would result in more prosperity, would result in cleaner parks, cleaner streets, things working better. There are other types of people who are like, well, they are libertarians because they want to exist in a world of no judgment. They want to exist in a world in which everything is permissible and nothing is judged. And that's not why I'm a libertarian at all. And so if we
except New Hampshire's Twitter account, weirdly. Except when it comes to any semblance of right-wing culture, in which case it's not anything goes. They're actually very kind of cracked down. So it's this weird game that they play. But exactly to your point, part of the reason, listen, like in the same sense that we all recognize there is some role for welfare in society, like, whether private or public, like we recognize that, like, there is a little old lady who's a widow who falls down and breaks her hip and doesn't have money for hip surgery, and like the community in that case or something would have to kick in or something like that. Part of the reason why I love the idea of private voluntary charity rather than a welfare state is because they can have much stricter demands on you for receiving that welfare. You know what I mean? Like, your local church can have all types of demands on you before they help you out, whereas like the government, their only demand is like that you, I don't know, maybe forge a piece of paper or something like that. Hey, listen, Jeremy, I gotta cut off here just because we're over time, but I always really enjoy having all these conversations with you. Let's make sure to do another one real soon, and please let all of my listeners know where they can find your stuff.
Sure, you can follow me on X in my full name, Jeremy Kaufman. If you're interested in some of what I'm doing in New Hampshire, you can follow Free State PTY on X, or especially we have a new channel on YouTube, Free State Party, doing some long-form conversations with some really interesting people. And so if you're interested in the kinds of people that have been influencing my thinking, we've been inviting them out to these live in-person events, live audience events. They're really interesting, and so you can check that out on YouTube at Free State Party.
Awesome. Jeremy Kaufman, thank you so much, brother. Really enjoyed it. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Catch you next time.
see an orange peel.
Hey, Dad, how was I made?
Well, son, it happened in the back of my station wagon. It's okay. They're married.
Blue moon, made brighter.
I've been muted this whole time. I was sneezing. I've been sick, ladies and gentlemen. And I think it's, no, I'm better now. Thank you. Mind blown. It's WTF Wednesdays. Hey, War Powers Resolution. Act actually limits the president's freaking ability to wage a campaign. War Powers Act is for national defense purposes, where, to put this in very short cliff notes, where, alright, the president needs to act within 60 days to defend the people in U.S. interests, defend the United States military, etc., etc., etc. After that, he's an additional 30 days in order to withdraw. Other than that, he needs congressional approval. So that's how that falls into that. But with the war on terror, essentially what we're looking at is limited strikes. I'm going to have to dig a little bit deeper into the legalities of that. I think it would go way freaking further. And if there was some legal basis for Trump to launch a war against Iran using the global war on terror, I think he would be doing that. But I don't really think he's got it. And yeah, WTF. Welcome to WTF Wednesdays, ladies and gentlemen, where Matt just mutes himself when he has to sneeze when a video is playing, and he forgets to unmute himself. It's just the way the cookie crumbles, I suppose. So thank you guys for bearing with me as I slowly try to get myself back in. I've got allergy medication that I've been slamming today and trying to clear this crap out. My donation to let you know you are muted. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. You're muted! Also, good evening. Oh, thanks, Silent, and everybody else that ended up joining up to become members. All the members that were commenting, let me know I'm freaking stupid. Insert white and red cables for audio. Hey, dude, I just clicked a button because I had to sneeze. I don't know how many times I have to tell you guys this crap. Still crazy and keep doing what you do. P.S. You are muted. Hey, dude, I'm muted. How many muted comments do we need? Hollywood Marine.
What's the truth about Nirav Shah? Shah was appointed by a Republican mega millionaire in Illinois and failed. Democrats called his mistakes the hype.
Alright, this freaking moron, I don't even remember his name. Let me see if I can find it here. Nope, it doesn't matter because it's not in here. This idiot was running for freaking mayor of a nearby town in 2020 and then threw his name on in 2026. He got arrested at one point in time for freaking basically like illegal votes or some crap like that. And then he decides to show up to this freaking anti-white freaking protest over in Frisco. Like, this guy actually thought that this comment, and I want to thank Jimbo for sending me this clip, this moron actually thought that this would be the comment to make inside Texas. Listen to this bullshit.
But you know what? You guys are gonna vote for him. Quick question: how do you feel about veterans? I don't support veterans. What? The only vets I support are the ones that take care of cats and dogs.
Okay, what's the cream?
The only vets I support are the ones that take care of cats and dogs. How well do you think freaking Texas responded to all that crap? Well, here you go.
That's not a statement.
Frickin' Texas and start screaming that you don't support vets. It honestly looked from the videos that I saw of it, and I'm getting sick and tired of freaking riots and freaking protests and all this other dumb crap that people are doing. It honestly looked like there was more people from the Patriot / American side, or however you want to say it, that showed up today over inside Frisco in order to protest against these morons for holding the Rage Against Rednecks, or whatever the hell they ended up calling it. It was a huge flop for them. Huge flop. They ended up getting freaking screamed out of there. That moron showed up.
He got screamed out of there. I've got like a 10-minute long video of just people like yelling and screaming in his face. It literally did nothing for him. Tom Bone says, as many as it takes for you to see one. And Jay Seal says, did you see or hear anything about Trump disappearing today? No, I actually heard absolutely nothing about Trump disappearing, nor do I think he has disappeared. I know he's been very, very busy, which you're going to see why here in a minute, because they ended up coming out with, which has been pissing off everybody on the Israeli side of the house. They have been coming out with the ceasefire resolution for inside Lebanon. People are really pissed off because Trump basically, he didn't call him he called Netanyahu effing crazy because Netanyahu wanted to bomb Hezbollah's leadership over inside of Beirut like 2 days ago. Trump ended up calling him, being like, dude, you're effing nuts, don't do that. And then people got really pissed off because Trump halted Bibi from doing that. And they're trying to scream, what, like Hezbollah is actually going to agree to doing any of that? No, obviously they're not going to agree to it. As a matter of fact, they released a video of them bombing the crap out of everybody today, which I have for you. Don Booth says it's like Jake Lang protest in reverse with the exception of unhinged leftist violence. Nailed it. Incog in the house, keep down 5 Speak the Truth memberships. And some of those comments, man, feeling better. I'm doing my best. Mr. Potato had to choose the wrong state to reside in if he doesn't support vets. Yeah, dude, don't go to Texas and start screaming about how you don't support vets, because believe you me, the vets don't want to freaking hear it. Now, as we start talking about...
Yeah, some people are jumping in class, responding to that. Insane, and they're saying how just like when you call out a few of the abortion clinics or a few of the farms, and oddly enough, some of the veteran organizations connected to some of the same animal charities, kind of the same networks we've been talking about, child and animal pornography being fed out, investigations, real and fake stuff. Yeah, to the feeders, chasers, investigators. We've talked about this in multitudes over the years. So yes, thank goodness. Yeah, they're really glad he's speaking out about that and that he shared that clip. I know, that's kind of, he was glad someone else shared it with him. It's kind of cool how that works. But yeah, someone just wanted to point that out, how, of course, support veterans, you support all human beings, right?
Now, the man that ended up stabbing him finally got conviction in court.
Right, so when people call out crimes that some human beings are doing connected to some of those networks and businesses, it's like, you're talking about all veterans or all the abortion clinics, pro-life, all the farms, get the truckers going, right? Yeah, it just got pretty silly over the years, how different things spite. Seems like just a lot of distractions and media frenzy stuff. No, I agree with what you're saying. I probably didn't translate it properly, but a lot of people in class gave a thumbs up that they get what I'm saying.
He's gone for life, hopefully. CUK, who knows? This man was walking down the street with his friends.
So interesting you made that statement. I don't support veterans. Support cats and dogs.
Words to that effect. Which then got him stabbed. Chased and stabbed. He ended up trying to flee for his life, jumping over a fence. Eventually some civilian finds, which maybe we'll see it, maybe we won't. I forget if it's in this particular clip. The cops, I'm not done ranting. The cops show up. And they find the suspect first in the bottom right corner of your screen, or excuse me, the killer, because he's been convicted. They find the killer first. And the killer starts telling him that that man that can't breathe, that's been stabbed, was making racial remarks, and they knocked his turban off his head. What you're about to hear. He tells the cops that he's been stabbed. He's clearly in respiratory distress. There's a blood trail on the dang ground. When they drag him out from behind the car where he's laying in, they throw him in cuffs, read him his rights, and then watch him as he dies. Saying he's been stabbed, so
Where
just
do you think
checking.
you've been stabbed? In the face? Oh no, but we have to check, don't we? In the face?
You hear that? She said, we have to check, don't we? And then the cop goes, no. No, we don't. And I believe he's about to tell the guy he doesn't believe him as he's dying. And the last words that he read are basically he's under arrest and he's being read his rights. Just need to back off, get their details on that, or people want to. Keep you on your side, mate. Gotta retrieve then. Saying to him, keeping him on his side. We will set up a really, really big breaker.
A dream that I had no idea was.
Oh, he's not responding? That's for assault, so you don't have to say anything, may harm defense if you do not reach my questions. So future later life court. Anything you do say may be given evidence, alright?
I was already working full time at the hospital. My husband told me
he's sick. He's gonna be sick.
But it's not impossible. It doesn't matter what is happening in your life.
You just heard that man's last words. That's what you to call it.
This is what you
Yeah,
need to keep yourself on
we've
your
got
stance.
mail. He's been beat up. Are we able to get an ambulance?
The call that this woman gives is, we have a male that's been beat up. Can we get an ambulance here? Now, probably the most appalling thing about this, as I sit there and watch this freaking guy die,
When your upgrade
is what ended up freaking like transpiring before that.
sleeping arrangements
And this
are
idiot,
not.
like I posted so much crap right now. I can't even believe that I'm about to
For
like.
this day.
It's so freaking infuriating, man. I don't even remember when I shared this video, but it's troubling. This is the cops rolling up. If you were pissed from watching that portion of the video, watch this one.
He keeps dropping side to side, so I'm just trying to keep us set up. He's got another gun, I don't want him uncomfy. He's jumped over these fences and stuff like that. He's up here, mate. He's obviously falling from there, he slipped from there. I'm the shooter death over there, mate.
He's falling from there, he slipped from there. He said, I can't breathe. He's about to tell the cops he's been stabbed. All because he asked the man why he's carrying the knife. What's your name, mate? Huh? Has anyone been hurt other than him?
Yeah, me. Grab my brother, he took my turban off, started grabbing my head.
Are you injured?
Yeah, I've got swollen eye, little bit.
Alright, just step back a little bit for me. Are you injured? Yeah, I've got this little thing on my eye right here. Dude, are you freaking kidding me? And the cop just tells him to go back. This guy's complaining about being stabbed, he can't breathe, he's got a witness saying he's falling off the car, all of this stuff going on. And he's going, I got this little mark over my eye, he knocked my turban off. Are you freaking kidding me? Someone flag these down. Alright, let's get you out of that. I've been stabbed. Grab his other arm. Now he said I've been stabbed 3 different times. I can't breathe. God only knows how many times. What do? They just drag him out. What's happened to you, right? You've been stabbed? Whereabouts? I don't think you have, mate. I've been stabbed. No, I don't think you have, mate. You don't think he has. Because the other guy accused him of being racist. UK has finally lost it over this. That young man lost his freaking life. You want to see what the UK looks like today? I kind of want to show you. It's been non-stop. These guys came out in mass, going freaking ham against law enforcement, protesting, losing their shit. Police over in the UK, they can't even control it. was that man's crime? What did he die for? He died because he got accused of being racist, and that guy had a mark over his eye. And the cops flat out ignored the fact that the man had claimed he'd been stabbed, couldn't freaking sit up. He's got witnesses stating how he was acting before the cops even freaking showed up. They don't believe him. In that video, which I really wish I could play, but I don't think I can show people losing their life on YouTube. The female officer literally grabs her freaking flashlight, shines it in his eyes, is like, his pupils aren't even reacting. And what she do? She calls and says, we got a man that's been beat up. Dude, the UK's pissed. And Frisco, Texas had the balls, some idiots in Frisco, Texas had the balls to throw an anti-white rally today. Tony Review said the world's gone crazy. Anyways, I was talking to a magpie this morning, and he told me it was his birthday. So here's the bird's donation. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you. Crewman says thanks for the answer about the caves tracking on OPSEC. Also, bless you, this is the second time that you've sneezed and made $10. Dude, you have no idea how congested I feel right now. It's out of control. And if you guys have watched me for a while, you can probably freaking hear it. I'm doing my best to go back through the super chats and get them up to freaking par for you. Sky God's in the house gives out 20 Speak the Truth memberships. Thank you, sir. You guys are freaking crushing it over the chat tonight. Thank you guys for donating, commenting, doing everything that you do. Dawn B says, Matt, did you see the terrorist Democrat that got sent through November election? Yeah, I did. In New Jersey, he literally testified on behalf of the trade terror of Palmer. Yes, he did. Also, fun fact about the guy, he also served as a doctor in the U.S. military, went to Iraq and was saving lives over there as well. So, here's what I'm not going to do. Yeah, he testified on behalf of the guy. I have yet to dig completely into that story and to see exactly what he said, exactly how he stood up for that guy, but that was for the World Trade Center. I think it was like the 92 bombing, something like that. You guys know me. I'm going to bring you all the facts that go into it. The man did serve the country. He did go overseas fighting the Cold War on terror, and he did save U.S. service members' lives as a doctor over inside of Iraq. So I'm not going to sit here and slander the guy until I do all of my due diligence and research behind him. Sky Guy coming in, gives out 20 Speak the Truth memberships. Do I think it's preposterous that the guy stood up for him? Yeah, absolutely. But I also think that he might have been like a character witness for his sentencing. Could have been something like that. Blake says Ephesians 6:12, for our struggles is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of the evil heavenly realms. Amen, dude. You have no idea how much I needed to hear that tonight. Keep it on. We got Generation Jones coming and giving out 5 Speak the Truth memberships. We have Eric says, try snorting a Bravo energy pouch. Love you, bro. Dude, I am not snorting Bravo tonight. That's not going to happen. I love Bravo, and I thank Bravo energy pouches for sponsoring this channel. If you guys haven't gone over there and got your Bravo energy pouches yet, I don't know what's wrong with you. Link in the description down below. Always have them on freaking standby. Literally have them on freaking standby as I sit here. 50 milligrams per pouch, 20 pouches per can. Cheaper than a cup of coffee, and it works better than freaking crack cocaine, in my opinion. Not that I've ever freaking tried it, but I'm just saying, BravoEnergyPouches.com, link in the description down below, sponsoring this channel. Every time you guys buy from them, you support this freaking channel, which is important. And you're supporting veterans, you're supporting all sorts of crap. So get your butt over there and make it happen, baby. Troy Review says, I forgot the magpie had a twin, so here's a bit more. Also, my name is Troy, not Bloody Tony. My bad, dude. Listen, you might not know this, as you can see me looking down, trying to intensely read your comments, but I have a massive TV screen over here in front of me. Maybe I ought to do a walkthrough of my studio one day. I have a big old TV screen right here and a camera right over top of it, so I can look at it when I'm doing interviews and all this other crap. You, sir, are right in front of it, and I'm trying to read and do the best. So I'm sorry that I did that, man. I'm also sick, man. Give me a freaking break. It's my first day back at work after running in freaking circles and dealing with stupidity. Don't go full Kyle Busch, Matt. Get those lungs checked out. I'm not going to go Kyle Busch, man. I promise you that. Have you heard Oregon is trying out the Peace Act to make hunting, fishing, and farming illegal? Yeah, I did. Actually, I saw that a while ago, and that's not going to fly. I promise you, it's not going to fly. Those people are stupid, and they need to do their research. I grew up hunting and fishing in Oregon, and I will tell you that that is a massive chunk of Oregon's revenue. If they even freaking try, like there's going to be a riot. There's actually people out there, including my family. We relied on our abilities to hunt and fish in order to keep meat in our freaking freezer when I was growing up. And it pisses me off that they're even considering doing that. These freaking libtards need to get a hold of themselves, because what's happening over inside of the UK, this in the UK is coming quick. America is not going to put up with this crap. We're not. And we're at that point right now. We're at the point where America is tired of this crap. We're tired of our freaking justice system being abused. We're tired of people freaking, like, doing everything that they're freaking doing in this country. Absolutely tired of it. This is not going to last. I promise you that. This is going to last. People finally getting pissed off at the stupidity, their civil rights being violated, and then just being put to freaking death for no reason because somebody accused them of something. We're tired of it. We're tired of it. And tomorrow, hopefully by tomorrow, I'll have a statement ready from my attorney. Tomorrow, you guys are going to hear about more of the bull crap that I'm putting up with. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see here. Maybe, it was like, I don't even remember how many. You know what's bad? Is when you spend tens of thousands of dollars on attorneys and you're not even sure where you're at. I talked about it in the Discord the other night. I dropped easily 70K over the last 12 months on attorney's fees, defending myself from First Amendment rights violations and false accusations. I'm over it. I'm over it. I'm gonna have this for you guys, and you're gonna learn more about it, likely this month. A lot of it. You're gonna see it. And if you're not as pissed off as I am, I don't know what to tell you. Tom Bone says, I think it's allergies. You might be allergic to the libtard land that we're visiting it for the past few days. I agree with you. I was. I went walking through New York City and I was like, dude, it's like walking through a zoo. I don't mean that in a racist way. I just mean that in a way that's like, I can't do stupidity anymore. I just can't do it. I can't. More powers resolution ended up getting passed through the House today. They think for some reason it's a good idea to spend U.S. taxpayer dollars on crap that is going to get vetoed by the President of the United States. They think that they know Trump is not going to sign this thing. Trying to get Trump to sign a war powers resolution to limit his ability to protect the American people from Iran and U.S. military personnel stationed overseas. Trump's going to be limited now. No, it's not. It's going to get vetoed. Let's be honest here. This is a political stunt. But it finally did pass. So good on them for finally passing a war powers resolution through the House. Not that our country has anything else to worry about, as we have anti-white rallies, we have terrorist sympathizers, we have all sorts of crap going on. Dude, we have foreign influence going on inside this country. We have people that are so... We have people inside of this country that are so freaking insane. This is how insane foreign influence. I warned you guys about this crap. I told you guys this shit is going on. And I feel like people were like, you know what, Matt? It's not actually going on here in the United States. So I'm like, to hell with this. Like, I'm at the point where I'm like, to hell with all of these people. You know? Like, people are literally in a public environment, in a public space, admitting that they break the law.
Well, this Russian agent here, that he calls Russian agent, went ahead and did what needs to be done. Send the information to a friend of mine at the FBI.
Hold on, so let me get this right. So you contacted someone, you haven't explain. So you have an FBI
A friend of mine,
to reach out about
a friend of mine is worked for the FBI for the longest time, and he has access to all of the databases, everything. So I was like, you know what, this is how we're gonna do this. Well, this
road right now, we are mobile.
I don't even know the name of this retarded podcast or whatever the hell you call this thing. All I know is that they've been going after Gary from Paramount Tactical. I've had him on the show several times, but on his show, etc., etc., etc. You guys have seen us dual streaming. I believe what she's actually talking about here is sending Gary's information to a friend at the FBI to try to do background checks and things like that on him. Essentially, a major violation of every freaking thing that they should be doing. These idiots think that it's a good idea, whether she's telling the truth or not. But she showed her phone.
So let's go ahead and dive right in. If you like,
she showed her phone.
Like, subscribe, turn the bell, and let's dive right in. So if you guys caught the live
my favorite part about this, Gary called her ass out today. Called her ass out today. Tagged Caspatel and Dan Bongino.
Almost to the same, except with more votes. We still have.
Would you look at that? FBI rapid response ended up answering him back. That is the best ratio I think I've ever seen in my life. She got ratioed by the Bureau. Said, we're looking into this. This is how overtaken our country has become. I am tired of remaining silent on this shit, ladies and gentlemen. I'm tired. You guys have no idea the crap I've been putting up with over the last year, but you're about to find out.
Here at the Fox, we encourage men to leave their mark on the world, not on their shirts. You get one chance to make a great first impression, so don't let your deodorant ruin it. Introducing Dr. Squatch Invisible Glide Deodorant in a clear application formula you didn't know existed because it didn't until now. All-day odor protection, incredible manly scents. So get out there and live like your deodorant isn't holding you hostage. Dr. Squatch Deodorant, let your stick do the talking.
Lowball estimate for each case that I'm dealing with right now is $100K to go to trial. Lowball. That doesn't include experts. That doesn't include like depositions. That doesn't include freaking discovery. That doesn't include all of the freaking hours. I heard a damn private investigator.
And I know a lot of mail-in ballots are historically Democrat-friendly.
The amount of crap that I've been putting up with, I'm freaking
Spencer Pratt,
I think you guys are too.
and very
And we're going to talk about it. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to fight this.
That's all
And I'm
very exciting.
going to lean on you
Let's
guys
go ahead
to help me
and
fight
look
it.
into Steve and his
These
response
freaking nut jobs think that they can freaking get away with some of this stuff. How much longer?
Last night, I thought was
Celestial Trill says, I'm with you. I'm tired of rights being abused. Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to introduce you guys, like I said. Ron stated that, then remember, War Powers resolution got passed in the House. Good on him. I'd like to introduce you guys to the airport strike that took place over in Sunday Kuwait.
In a new direction.
Why did this happen? Why? Well,
A fresh
because
start
for our state.
Iran is freaking
But I just want to say
nuts.
something to every single
They're
person
pissed off that
who voted
Israel's
for me.
defending itself
And
against
every single
Hezbollah. They're
person
trying to
who
claim that
voted in
everything's
this
just
election,
out of control.
whether you voted for me or not, I am here for you.
They were launching
For every
drones. They were doing
single
all sorts of
one
crap
you.
over inside of the Strait of Hormuz yesterday.
Thank you.
The United States ended up conducting an airstrike on Mission Island
And share one other clip of him just being very
in response to their drone
about
attacks.
whether or not he's going to go up against Xavier Sarah or
Iran then lost its shit
Steyer.
this
This is
morning.
the kind of confidence that I love
Right
to
at
see
sunrise,
California
they
from
ended
a
up attacking this airport. They tried claiming that this airport got hit.
A Democrat.
That this airport was hit by a stray interceptor from the United States or Kuwait.
Will be the same. Change or more of the same.
Can't make it
Very
up.
simple, very straightforward.
Because of that,
in different ways,
Kuwait ends up releasing this
both
vehicle,
Democrats
or this
that are
video.
in contention, both offer more
Now,
than
at
more
least
than
one person's dead that we're aware of. Over 60 are missing. And Iran's still playing the freaking woe is me game. Still playing the woe is me game. As a matter of fact, they ended up releasing this video of an interceptor going into the sky, somebody did, and claiming that this is the one that ended up smashing into the airport. Trying to claim that this is what happened to the airport. They didn't do it. says Iran. You can trust Iran, ladies and gentlemen. Iran says they weren't responsible, that it was this interceptor. Random video of a random interceptor that ended up smashing in there, despite the overwhelming evidence. Despite the overwhelming evidence of what took place. And this is my favorite part. Remember how we talked about like the Knob Girls School where they were all claiming that the U.S. did it? Look at how quick authorities were able to find the appropriate parts of the Iranian drone that ended up smashing into the place. I love how you guys say this is fake. Look at how quick the authorities found that. And were able to take it out. Remember how long it took for Iran to come out with their BS? You remember that? I remember it. Weeks. Enough time for them to drag parts in from all around the country to try to claim that the U.S. ended up doing it. Eric says lies, all lies. You can trust these people. Hey man, I do. I trust the Iranian regime with all of my heart. ST, thank you for the tax fund. I appreciate it, my friend.
Is a Central Valley vote. Do you have any idea how many Mexicans?
Here's what I'm not okay with. What I'm not okay with is a narrative
I'm just so happy about that.
That the U.S. should just pack up and move away from Iran at this point. If you didn't watch this morning's stream, I went very in depth. Very in depth on why we're there, in at least my opinion.
I know he has
very well laid out the case for war against Iran.
Last night,
their involvement in Venezuela, them moving, and I brought the receipts, them moving ballistic missiles, them probably supplying the enriched uranium, all this other crap. In Venezuela, I think we're going into Cuba next, unless there's some sort of a resolution that gets reached with Cuba between now and the time this crap comes to an end.
Boom. I was born for this clearly. Yes, you
This isn't going to end. I don't care how many freaking resolutions end up getting passed. This isn't going anywhere. I would not be surprised
and I love that his
if what I said we should have done 6 months ago,
is not just looking at how
using a nuclear bunker buster, ends up coming through. Seeing reports that the U.S. moving more troops and everything else.
More people and display even more experience because they are ruthlessly attacking him. So take a look here.
We're sending additional crap over to the Middle East right now. Everybody's whining and complaining. Trump's not doing anything. He's not getting anything done. Really? We bombed the piss out of that place for 30 days straight. Hogs video the interceptor at night was at night. Airport got hit during the day. Are we dumb? Yes, they are that dumb.
I'll be able to show that in 5 months.
Sun was up. The strike on the airport took place at exactly 4:50. They also tried attacking a U.S. military installation over there. Everything got intercepted. CENTCOM immediately shut it down. Iran then came out and tried claiming that today they freaking like went after sank a U.S. warship. CENTCOM's like, didn't happen. This is like America would be out of aircraft carriers at this point. Stock market says there's a good and a bad day.
Because I think she's evil. And I think Spencer Pratt is going to be way better.
Look what they did to this place.
Watch it. Her yeah, so now she's going to be hanging out with children of LA.
Stock market says good and bad crazy. I agree.
Outside of schools, right where children have to.
I don't think there's anything wrong with Netanyahu or Bibi being freaking nuts. Personally, if I was him, I absolutely would want to kill every single leader inside Hezbollah. Unfortunately, those leaders are buried underground, inside their tunnels in Beirut, using all of the humans walking around above ground as shields. That's why Trump called him effing nuts, because Bibi was about to bomb the crap out of the leadership of Hezbollah, hiding, not even behind, underneath civilians over inside Beirut. And by the way, Hezbollah is backed by Iran, the people that did this. And Iran started this shit because Netanyahu and Israel are defending themselves against Hezbollah inside Lebanon.
Was it moving forward?
Incock says, I think it was the missile that hit the hospital in Gaza. Yeah, it's the same one, man. It was the same. You know what? You're right. It was the same exact Israeli bomb that hit the Al-Sul hospital over in Gaza is the same one. It unburied itself and fired itself over Kuwait and smashed into the airport. Don Reed says, I've been diagnosed with bone cancer, lesions on my brain and cancer around my heart. No money, please, just prayers would be sufficient. Love y'all. Don, sweetie. Don, I'm so sorry to hear that.
That people have about
Don.
Spencer
God, man.
So I love seeing this. I love seeing his enthusiastic commitment here. I think it's absolutely great. And here is another critique that I wanted to share kind of about Los Angeles. Go ahead and take a look at this awesome clip of TikTok saying NBC's just fire out loud. LA won't have results tonight because a tons of mail-in ballots will be arriving in the next 2 days, which will help the Democrats. And she says, this is how they cheat. Again, my perspective here is I hope that the commitment that conservatives have essentially just outvotes any of the possible cheating that could be allowed
I'm so sorry to hear that, Don.
the Democrats.
So
that's
that seriously breaks my heart.
Is NBC News.
Remember, the final piece of the puzzle that we won't know tonight, right, is the late arriving vote by mail. And we're talking about probably like a third of the vote in Los Angeles. We're probably not going to be getting until tomorrow and maybe days to come after tomorrow. The mail can still come in after election
Trump
day.
called Netanyahu effing crazy?
And there's certainly a ton of precedent here that
hopefully
late
this makes you
arriving vote by
So
mail.
let's talk about the call that you had with him this week, which is getting a lot of attention. President confirmed that he said you're effing crazy. How did you react to that? What really happened in that call?
Well, I'm not going to get into details of our conversations. We've had thousands of them. A lot of them. If this is a crisis, we should be in some other conversations. But we've always found a way. We have so many agreements. We have the main things. We want to get Iran, the nuclear program in Iran, finished. We want to make sure that Iran doesn't pose a threat to Israel, to the Middle East, to America, that it doesn't develop nuclear weapons and the means to deliver them not only to Israel and to every capital in Europe, but to every city in the United States. That's our common goal. That's what we set out to do. And to expand the circle of peace, as the President and I did in the Abraham Accords together. So we have a common goal. Sometimes we have, as in the best of families, you have these tactical disagreements. We always find a way to work them out. And we do so as great friends. We can disagree in the morning, and by the afternoon we have common action.
That is probably the most political answer I think I've ever heard in my life. Like, freaking BB Man absolutely crushed it. And you want to see evidence, like absolute evidence that Israel controls the United States of America. Just look at what's been taking place over the last couple days, where Trump said he's effing nuts. He's not going to be attacking Hezbollah over inside of Beirut. How we told him to turn the damn planes around. How all of this crap ended up coming through. Clearly, Israel controls the United States of America. Evidence of the peace agreement that I'm about to show you in a little bit. But before I show you that, I feel like it's only appropriate because there was a ceasefire deal reached, and it's not even technically a ceasefire deal.
So, guys,
I'll go over in a sec. But as we talk about that, open side Lebanon, I think it's only fair to show you the video that Hezbollah published today, showing the vast amounts of crap that they fired at Israel in the last 24 hours.
Anyways, let me know what you think about all this in the comment section. Tell me how you feel about Brad.
peace with Hezbollah, baby. Yeah, we're gonna make that happen. Wrong, that's not really what it says. I could read over this entire thing to you guys, honestly, but I'm not gonna go through all of it. Essentially what it says is that the United States and Israel are not going to be launching any attacks anytime soon, minus the self-defense stuff that they've been aware of. And this is something that kind of like pisses me off a little bit, to be honest, is the amount of people that are well aware of Russian disinformation and crap and propaganda that have further bought into it, saying that Trump has completely and totally restricted Israel's rights to defend itself. No. As a matter of fact, Donald Trump has came on the record and stated time and time again that Israel has every single right to defend itself against Hezbollah inside of Lebanon. What he forbade them to do was attacking Hezbollah's leadership inside of Beirut. Take it or leave it. It's just what it is. But Israel has been bombing, shooting, and hunting down Hezbollah in southern Lebanon ever since this crap kicked off. Hezbollah is in clear violation of UN Resolution 1701, previous ceasefire agreement from November of 24, all of it. They're in violation of all of it, not to mention international law, being labeled for terror organizations, etc., etc., etc.
I will be right back.
What does this do? This essentially establishes zones
I'm going to give it
for the
one
Lebanese
extra
military
day
to come in
since
and
it's
take
a bit larger.
over.
And we're going to try the
There's this
four today from the ones that
lie
we were
that exists in the world right
exact
now.
same, right? And we're going to try my own.
Of the greater Israel. They're trying to expand. They're trying to
And
take
I'll go
over
back
the
and
Jews.
forth, right? 'Cause I have two blue
This
ones, so
massive
we're gonna be able to check
population
it
of
one to one.
17 million people.
Okay.
Country the size of New Jersey.
The black one.
Wants to
I
take
know,
over an
I know.
area with a bunch of radical
Okay.
Muslims in it. Really?
Let me get a fork real quick.
Do you really believe that? Israel's got enough crap on its plate. Do you really think they want to deal with governing southern Lebanon?
All right, guys.
West Bank's a pain in the ass. Gaza's a pain in the ass. Iran's a pain in the ass.
Here we go. Let's try it out. Let's see how it is.
Pain in the ass.
So,
killing Druze, killing Christians, killing everybody. Not to mention Egypt, that's playing both sides of the fence, in my opinion.
All right.
Do we really think Israel wants to
So
deal
the first
with
one we're going to
southern
try.
Lebanon? No. This peace agreement
We have.
actually forces Lebanon.
I guess maybe I could just
to
do.
actually get over this. Forces Lebanon to get off their asses and do what they were
This is going
supposed
to
to
be a
do
little bit
almost 2
awkward
years
for
ago.
me, but it's better
Kick
for you.
Hezbollah out of southern Lebanon. They want to keep that crap up in the north. They want to keep that crap in Beirut.
We
It
have
doesn't
4
matter.
of these right here.
But they are now responsible for it.
Which one do
That's
you
what
guys
this
want me to
establishes.
try first?
People
And
are trying to
this is
claim
another
that
red one.
it's, Donnie T is not
Which
allowing.
one is
No,
first?
that's not it. That's not it at all.
All right,
the
we're
amount of
going to
misinformation
try-
in this world, dude. I
Give
swear.
me one. Where's the
I
fork? Wait,
swear
didn't I just
it
get a
never gets
fork?
old. It's like
Yeah, I did. Okay, it's
pro-Ukraine
right
people
below me. We good?
that
All
know
right, we're
Russia
gonna
sucks,
try-
but then turn around
We're going to try
and
the
then
red one
spit
first.
Russian propaganda.
Let's try the red one first since we have 2 red ones.
Literally direct quotes out of RT. Yeah, it's the same damn thing that's happening now over the movies. That's how good they are at it. Which is why I'm personally kind of happy that the Bureau caught onto that crap going on with Gary. Is investigating that freaking communist bastard that is spitting all that propaganda out there.
Let me find something.
Rob says he's getting pissed.
Hold on to it, Will.
You and me both, bud. I'm also getting pissed, Rob. I'm getting pissed at the amount of disinformation that's out there. I'm getting pissed at the amount of crap that's going on in this country. I'm getting pissed at just everyone in general.
Music's a little loud.
I'm getting pissed at the libtards. I'm getting pissed at the freaking, far-right rhinos. I'm pissed off at all of them. All of them.
All right.
Are we seriously to believe that Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massey are the freaking predominant features of the Republican Party? Or that on the flip side, that idiots like Bernie Sanders and freaking Ilhan Omar are? No. This crap has gotten so out of control. Our country is spiraling out of control in debt. We have riots going on in the streets. We have people preaching under the guise of freedom of religion about murder.
Don't be a
jihad,
coward, do it.
here in the United States.
All right.
Anti-white protests. We can scream Black Lives Matter, but we can't scream White Lives Matter. So that would be a problem, right? That would mean that we're somehow racist, and all you gotta do is accuse someone of being racist, sexist, etc. You never know. You might lose your life. Aussie Mick coming in to give to Speak the Truth membership as well. You guys are crushing it tonight over there in the chat. Apparently you guys like it when I'm pissed off, which I haven't even begun to be pissed off yet. Y'all are about to see me pissed off. Like it's a coming.
I see why he said that, big
It's coming. And it's coming in strong.
I see why he said
it. I mean strong. Alright.
This bitch isn't any good.
With the Middle East. What about Russia? What about Ukraine? Well, let's listen to Marco Rubio.
First time in 20 years, recently, we had the Russian Duma come here to meet with members of Congress. What is the end result when Congress fails to open up dialogue and at least maintain its communications with another superpower like Russia?
Well, I think there's two things to discuss. One is the war in Ukraine, which we'd like to see end to a negotiated settlement. And separate from that is a bilateral relationship with a country that possesses, if not the largest, the second largest nuclear arsenal in the world. At a minimum, we have to have relations and conversations with Russians. We just do. Whether we like what they're doing or not, because given those factors that I just pointed to, I've had multiple conversations with Foreign Minister Lavrov, and we have to, because that's mature diplomacy and it's important. It's the same with China. We have to have communication with them, and there are issues in our bilateral relations that have nothing to do with Ukraine. So now, I think our relations with them will be friendlier and easier to pursue once the war in Ukraine is wrapped up, and we've made that point in this engagement. But I think what we've learned, and certainly I think it's been affirmed to us in the last year and a half, is you're much better off having someone to talk to on the other side than not. And this is a president who's willing to meet with and talk to anybody. He doesn't view talks and engaging a foreign counterpart as a concession, the way it's been in the past. Sometimes it leads to something, sometimes it leads to nothing, and sometimes that vehicle of communication proves incredibly valuable in a potential conflict or crisis.
I'd like to end by saying this. I completely agree with you. I think that it is our job and responsibility in Congress to maintain open dialogue and discussion, but I do think that you guys will be successful in this peace deal, and so I want to be the first to congratulate you on that, because I think that sometimes in this instance, having the courage to step up and do the right thing and lead by example is a big thing.
While we're on WTF Wednesdays, that's a stripper questioning Secretary of State about peace deals with Ukraine. So I want to throw that out there. For any of you guys that were confused about what you just saw, it's WTF Wednesdays, man. Anything can happen. Pat Loudon says, saw the U.S. are in talks with Lithuania on hosting nuclear weapons on their soil. Put some more pressure on Russia. Dude, it's just a slap in the face to Russia at this point. Honestly, like, how many nukes does the United States have that are like trained on Russia at any given time of day, any given freaking month, any given year? Like, too many to count. Castle Survival says, can we chill with the devotional day? You need it right now. No, I do, but I'll tell you what, man. I'm praying a lot in private right now. That's what I'm doing. And, yeah. Eric Sindestricker says, White Lives Matter, come get me. If you guys agree with Eric, by all means, comment White Lives Matter. If you guys are watching me on X, just put White Lives Matter down in the comments. Just watch it.
Alright. I never liked Great Kool-Aid. I'm gonna be honest, I never did.
Put it down in the comment section.
Reminds me why.
White Lives Matter.
I don't think it's that good.
You put Black Lives Matter for all I care.
Want to drink
all
water.
Lives Matter. I don't give a shit.
Know me,
but if you're sick and tired of the freaking crap that's going on in this world, ladies and gentlemen, you guys need to freaking comment on it. Castle asking, how about a stream debunking conspiracy theories? Dude, pick one. How many conspiracy theories would you like me to debunk? How many have I already debunked on this freaking channel? So many of them, man. So many. Like, there's so many conspiracy theories, I don't even know what to do with my life at this point.
This is the second red one.
I could literally make an entire channel devoted to the daily conspiracy theories that come out. Sean Hughes says, for the Cos brother, good night and much love from the Free State of Florida. Thank you, Sean Hughes. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you guys for supporting me in this endeavor.
Oh, Jesus.
Now, if you would like a little bit of normalcy before the night ends, which I think we all do with the amount of stupidity that's going on in the world.
All right, guys.
Nate from Valhalla is a conspiracy.
I am not. I'm so glad that I spaced this out for 2 days.
Black, but White Lives Matter too. Yeah, Celestial Trill. Thank you. I'm white. Black Lives Matter too. So do Asians and Indians and freaking whatever the hell else there is in this world. Everybody is equal in the eyes of God. All life
Goddamn,
should be
this is gonna be
preserved
brutal.
at all costs. That's just a fact. And to sit back and pretend, like in the United States of America today in the United States of America, that because of your skin color, you are somehow worse off than somebody else, is freaking
Modern
insane.
look. Thick, absorbent
Insane.
layers. But these
How many
napkins
times I've been
aren't just
targeted because I
elegant.
was white,
They're surprisingly affordable.
depending on what city I was in.
Perfect for Wing Wednesday. Vanity Fair. Elevate
I don't
every
even
day.
know how many times I was passed up for promotion while I was in the military because I was white. I don't even know how many times,
Harris Farmers Union helps
With
you
Hilton
get
Diamond
growing.
Reserve,
Enjoy
guaranteed
nut
4 p.m.
trees,
checkout
shade
makes
trees,
vacation
fruit
last
trees,
even
including
longer.
apple, cherry, peach, pear,
Betterment's
and
automated
plum,
investing
plus
tools
flowering
help you
shrubs
hit
and
your
berry
financial
bushes.
targets.
Get your garden
We
started with our
enlisted the
Easy
world's
Grown
#1
greenhouse
amateur
and move
golfer,
your plants
Jackson Coyle,
outdoors
to
with new
demonstrate.
pots that biodegrade in the soil. Our
That's
selection of
what
seeds
Betterment's
includes your
about.
favorite brands. Nurture that garden with products including Coast of Maine, made from the finest local ingredients. At your local Harris Farmers
It's a
Union.
ship.
a mandate demanding
Those
that the
flashes
military
of light,
come up
those
with a system
notifications.
that actually
It's
promotes
nothing
people
like any spacecraft
based on
I've
their
ever seen.
joint warfighting ability,
Humanity isn't alone.
not some
in the universe.
BS accomplishment,
And I've just
not because of their race, but what the hell they do at their job. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't it? I think so. I think it would be nice to just judge people off of who they are. Just a thought. Just a thought.
Better than the grape, but the first red one was better.
Here's a military jumping with
The
dogs.
first red one was definitely better. Yeah. Did that survive? I can survive that. Okay.
Oh, just your little puppy going for a
With the sugar? Yeah.
jump.
And now we have the most important one.
K9 lives matter, man.
Alright.
How dare those guys jumping out of the airplane without a reserve
The blue one.
parachute attached to their pooch? Out of control, man. Out of control these people are. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm tired of all the crap that's getting spit out in and around this
Why is it
country
not
today.
open?
I absolutely am. I'm tired of hearing
God damn it.
division. I'm tired of hearing everything.
Weak?
What
I
we
don't
actually
think
need
it's
is
even
people to be
really
able to come
weak. It's
together.
just
What
like
we actually need is people to say, you know what, this is all trash.
Got it.
This just
It's
absolutely
slippery, man.
needs to happen at the end of the day. Stop complaining about things that... Stop complaining about things that... Hey, stop. I didn't tell you to talk, Matt. Stop complaining about things.
Dude.
Start being a solution. Start being an answer. Start being a beacon of light. Pray for people. Pray for your enemies. Pray for your friends. Pray for yourself. I'll never forget the day when I was going through divorce and I was just throwing my hands up in the air. You know, and I was just, dude, I was going through hell, man. You guys don't even know the amount of hell I was going through. I called a buddy, and he's asking me. He's like, dude, when was the last time you prayed for yourself?
Just give me a minute, all right? Just
And I sat there, I
relax.
was like,
Give me a minute.
couldn't give you an answer. Pray for everybody but me. Pray for yourself. Castle
Stop
Survival says,
nibbling,
right
you
now
bite
it's
it down,
conflict
no.
of ideas. I hope it's never
Absolutely
kinetic. Oh no, it's
fucking
kinetic
not.
now. And the people that are ignoring it's kinetic aren't inside of New Jersey, aren't inside of Portland, aren't inside of the UK.
Okay. Resident Evil
kinetic.
meal.
And the question is, how widespread kinetic is it going to get? Top Bone says the Canaries have got to earn their jump rings too. I find it funny
Oh my God,
that
this
they
is
outrank
fucking-
their handlers, though. Why is that? It's not funny. Canines, you said, not Canaries. Canines have to earn their jump rings. Dang right. Those canines have more jumps than most people in airborne units, believe it or not. They do need to earn them.
Dude.
They absolutely need
Dude,
to earn them.
I'm sorry. I'm making
Ladies and
such a big
gentlemen,
thing out
stop
of
giving
this.
them stupid
I'm
propaganda.
sorry, guys.
Just stop. Eric says we are here together.
I'm just thinking about the fact that I might have to
praying
get
for
another
you.
one tomorrow,
Eric,
too.
thank you, sir. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen,
Just eat it.
that's going to do it for me for this evening. It really is. It's going to do it. And people are not getting notifications. It's pretty bad when I talk to family members and friends and everybody else that tell me they get notifications 6, 7, 8 hours that the stream was turned on. share this stream, like this stream. If you're watching it later, it is posted. Hype the stream. Comment. Tell people. Let's get this message out there, ladies and gentlemen. Peace, love, happiness. God bless. I'm out. I swear, we are starting to see some of the most low IQ takes when it comes down to the war in Iran because things are not moving on the timeline in which they would like or in the manner in which they would like. There's a massive account of open source intel making one of the dumbest freaking takes ever. That just because the IRGC has a demand, all of a sudden they have the upper hand. You understand that the United States of America also has a demand that the IRGC stop funding foreign terror organizations? Does that mean we have the upper hand? Does it? You know, the United States also has a demand that Iran limit its ballistic missile program.
Oh my God.
So is it whoever has the most demands all of a sudden has the upper hand? Or can we actually look at reality of what's taking place on the ground over inside of Iran? They've been cut off financially from the UAE. They've had the vast majority of their ballistic missile infrastructure freaking destroyed.
Oh man.
Last night they fired, what, like 12 ballistic missiles? Dude,
yeah,
are you kidding me?
Right.
That's what they've got left. That is their massive retaliatory attack. How come you're not reporting the United States has the upper hand? Because Iran's been threatened to blow everybody off the...
This is a lot. I mean, it is a lot. First red one, you didn't add sugar? I did, I just didn't add that much to it. Rank all of them? Okay, so if I was gonna rank them, I would give the first red one a 8. I'd give the black one, grape one, I'd give that one the lowest score. I'd say that was like maybe a 4. And then the second red one was like a 6. No, it was a 5. I'd say second red one was a 5. And then I'd say this one was like a 6 or 7. Like that's what I would go between these right there. Like that's where I would put the rating for all of these together. Oh my God. Well, I think that you know what the worst part about this is? The fact that I'm thinking about how I could do it better. Because I think this is a really good idea, but something about this wasn't perfect. I actually think that I could keep making another one, and more of these, and doing a better and better job. And then at that point, how so? Mixing, so I would take out all the water first, then I would mix the water separately, and then reintroduce the water back into the pineapples, and then close the seal through that way.
The perfect name.
That's what I should have done instead.
Get your domain on
and it was a mistake to have not done that.
Lock in your idea, your identity.
You need citric acid? I don't know what that is. I don't. I have no idea what citric acid is.
Wait. And neither should you. Put your
but
name
these right here, these are my this is my pineapple Kool-Aid. And we're gonna try the one that I made myself from scratch.
Fortified targets on Qasem Island in southern Iran in the dead of night.
I don't know about that.
Terror in the Gulf.
I really don't.
Iran shut down Kuwait International Airport.
Only eat a little
Our
bit of
returning
it because I wanted
fighting.
to make sure that
An Iranian drone attack hit Kuwait International Airport, caused casualties and shut down air activity in the country. Only hours after another round of exchanges of blows between the United States and Iran.
Let's make moonshine
and the United
next.
States
You think so?
is hardening its positions in the negotiations.
Like you guys can't
Washington is placing clear red lines for Iran and declaring sanctions relief only in exchange for giving up the nuclear program.
But the problem is, like, you don't know.
In addition, the United States is hitting the Revolutionary Guards in the pocket and launching a direct strike on the Iranian money machine.
You don't know if it's good
Washington has opened a focused economic attack against one of the most important financial platforms of the regime in Tehran. All the details coming up soon. And today, it turns out that Trump really did call Netanyahu crazy. We will soon bring you what that means. I'm Amir Pinto, with me is Mati Shoshani. We are boots on the ground. We bring you the whole truth about what's happening in Israel, and also the whole truth about what's happening in our neighborhood, the Middle East. Today is July 3rd. Let's begin.
Okay, all right.
Trump
Now we're back.
is driving the Iranians crazy. The President of the United States changed direction and hardened his positions against the Revolutionary Guards in Iran. During the meeting on Friday, the Situation Room, President Donald Trump determined that the Iranian verbal commitments regarding the nuclear issue are not enough. Now, he's demanding an explicit statement from Iran regarding its nuclear program, and especially regarding the uranium that has already been enriched to a high level. Tonight, between Tuesday and Wednesday, the United States military announced that a military operation was carried out against an oil tanker sailing in Qasem Island in Iran. The United States military released footage of a Hellfire missile being launched at the tanker's engine room and published the following statement. The United States Central Command, CENTCOM, updated that as part of the blockade on the Strait of Hormuz, a military operation was carried out against an oil tanker flying the flag of Botswana while it was sailing in international waters on its way to Karag Island. It was also stated that the ship's crew ignored repeated warnings and did not obey the instructions of the American forces several times over the last 24 hours. In the end, an American aircraft disabled the vessel by launching a Hellfire missile at the ship's engine room. In response to the disabling of the oil tanker by the United States military, the Revolutionary Guards fired missiles towards Kuwait and Bahrain and claimed that this was a response to the strike on a communications tower on Qasem Island. The drones from Iran hit Kuwait International Airport and caused the shutdown of commercial activity there. Authorities in Kuwait announced that the main passenger terminal was significantly damaged and that several people were injured during the incident. Following the attack, passenger flights were stopped, and the country's national airline announced that suspension of its operations will start now until further notice. Talks between the sides in recent weeks have focused on an attempt to reach an agreement of understanding that would extend the ceasefire, reopen up the Strait of Hormuz, and set a timeline for the continuation of the discussions. A draft formulated last week included a written Iranian commitment not to work towards obtaining nuclear weapons, but did not include concrete commitments regarding the regime's entire nuclear program. President Trump expressed optimism and said that he estimates that Iran will agree to the new terms within a week. However, officials in Washington expressed doubts in light of the internal disagreements within the Iranian regime. Secretary of State Marco Rubio referred to this difficulty and said that at the end of the day, you're negotiating with people who then have to negotiate inside their own system in order to see what they're allowed to give and what they are allowed to agree to. An official news agency in Iran confirmed that the updated draft is under review in Tehran. American officials emphasized that no sanctions relief will be offered. No assets will be unfrozen before Iran fulfills all its commitments. Secretary of State Marco Rubio made clear in a Senate hearing that any sanctions relief for Iran will take place only in exchange for a full concession on the Iranian nuclear program.
Hi, honey. Hi.
What do you think the average person forgets about investing? How much it could actually shape their future's potential. Acorns designed the potential screen to show you how investing anything from $5 a day to just your spare change could actually impact your future. Don't forget your potential. See it with Acorns.
At Blue Seal Farm and Home, we believe in the kind of life that's built around family, community, and the passions that make every day meaningful. Whether you're raising backyard animals, growing a garden, or sharing your heart with horses, we're here with hand-picked products and local support you can count on. We're proud to be part of a connected community, neighbors helping neighbors, sharing knowledge, and celebrating the lifestyles we all love. Because here, it's not just about what you do, it's about who you do it with. Your best life is better here. Visit BlueSealStores.com for a location near you.
This happened. The police showed up. What the heck?
Rubio denied that a compromise had been offered in exchange for opening the Strait of Hormuz, while Tehran's conventional defense system has been badly eroded and its military has almost been destroyed. In addition, Rubio revealed that there are indications that Iran's supreme leader Mustafa Khamenei is becoming more and more involved in managing negotiations. Khamenei has not been seen or heard in public since he was wounded in the strike in which his father was killed in the opening hours of the war. The American administration tightened the pressure on Iran this week and announced the opposition of board of sanctions against Iran's largest crypto exchange, Novitex. According to Washington, the exchange allowed the Iranian government and blacklisted state institutions to bypass the Western sanctions. The dramatic move comes after the exposure of how the exchange became a central junction in the parallel financing system, which preceded hundreds of billions of dollars from Iran's central bank and the Revolutionary Guard. And against the backdrop of the dramatic escalation in the Middle East and the expanding war in the Persian Gulf, the consequences of the confrontation are now directly hitting the pockets of energy customers all around the world. Saudi Arabia, the largest oil exporter in the world, has decided to raise the price of its main type of oil for the Asian markets to a historic record premium. The step comes at a time where Iran is close to an almost complete blockage of the Strait of Hormuz, which is causing turmoil and deep shock in global energy markets, according to a report by the Bloomberg News Agency. And one more thing that followed us this week, the leak about the President of the United States shouting at the Israeli Prime Minister. We asked who leaked it, what was leaked, and what the context was. And now, it seems that whoever leaked it managed to take the remarks out of their full context. The President of the United States confirmed that he used a harsh expression towards Benjamin Netanyahu during a conversation between the two about the fighting in Lebanon. But alongside the criticism, Trump emphasized his close relationship with the Prime Minister and said, "I like Bibi very much. I work with him excellently." Look, it seems that the two leaders are very comfortable with each other. They know how to work together very well. It's likely that sometimes they have disagreement, and that is natural and logical, especially during wartime. Trump said, "I was a little disturbed by his non-stop fight in Lebanon." He continued, "We work very, very well together. I like Bibi very much, and I work with him excellently. I'm a president during wartime, the prime minister during wartime, in a very important region of the world, and we work very well." End quote. Although Trump said that he is concerned about the possibility that the confrontation between Lebanon and Israel would torpedo the peace agreement with Iran, he noted that he is still optimistic and that an agreement will be reached pretty quickly. At the same time, Iran's economic oxygen pipeline has been exposed. The one that the United States still cannot manage to block. Through a secret network of oil tankers operating off the coast of Malaysia, the Iranian regime managed this week to sell crude oil to China worth billions of dollars, despite American sanctions. Today, we will bring you how it works. Have Israel and the Lebanese government found a solution for the Hezbollah terrorist organization? What do you think? So apparently, this is a plan for dismantling Hezbollah. The United States military will train the Lebanese army in order to help it deal with Hezbollah and in practice disarm the terrorist organization, a move that has Israeli support. Sources familiar with the details said that this move does indeed have support here in Israel. An official in the administration in Washington made clear Trump asked to prevent escalation in order not to turn Lebanon into a issue in the negotiation. So we have a lot ahead of us. Well, let's dive into the details. I'm here, Pinto, with Ms. Mati Shoshani. We are here on boots on the ground, bringing you the whole truth about what's happening in Israel and about the war against Iran's Revolutionary Guards, which is the head of the axis of evil in the Middle East. And just a second before we begin, I want to call on you to continue spreading the truth. Share our content with as many people as possible. Click on the subscribe button and most importantly, do not forget to look for me, Yair Pinto, and for Mati Shoshani on our social media accounts in order to get the view of our eyes what it's like to live here in Israel during this war. So our senior Middle East correspondent, Mati Shoshani, if Iran is already hitting Kuwait and Bahrain, and not only threatening Israel or American ships, how are we seeing a transition from Israel, Iran, Israel-Iran war to a new Gulf war? That is a great question. This is not actually new. It's really been following what's been happening in the last couple of months. From the get-go,
my court case with Josh is still going to be rejected until I find a way to have this good faith conversation with him. So I decided to see if I could find Josh online, to see if I could look up any more information about him.
I'm talking about the Gulf states, the countries who trade or buy weapons from the US. They're the ones who suffered the most from Iran's
lawsuits. That's
how
are you kidding me, dude? That's what he's known for.
They took
reducing people's exposure to lawsuits.
I found out that both Josh and Brandon,
semi-friend of
hardcore
has taken a beating from the
It's
Iranians.
actually extremely surprising to me because if Josh and Brandon
nowhere near
stealing
a real
against
friend
like
I
feel like Mormons don't steal. Like every Mormon that I know is like the most fucking like prim, proper, well-behaved, never does anything wrong kind of guy. Like thou shalt not steal. Remember, because that was in the book. Remember that book? Yeah.
Truly Mormons, they believe that stealing is wrong. If they steal, they're going to go to hell. I guess in Mormonism they call it the outer darkness. But still, Brandon and Josh probably actually believe that this is going to be eternity for them. I mean, Josh even swore to me on his Mormon God in the last video that he would give us the videos back.
Whatever you want to call this.
Maybe I can use this to my advantage. My problem right now seems to be that Josh is never going to listen to anything I ever tell him.
Mechanism of pressure.
There's someone from his church heard this audio. Maybe he would listen to that. So after finding exactly what church these guys go to, he went to it and showed what the Mormons did.
Change policy and change behavior. And of course, they're trying it once more. Now again, with a combination of the two.
They're going to Tattletale on them?
Squeezing them, they're causing damage to them financially, and therefore they might pressure less. And now they're launching attacks at them.
He's sitting there, it's just a random fucking day, and he's locked in with a fucking belt, khakis on, a nice jacket, and a tie. And he's even got like the little things there so he can write down your information and shit. Like this guy is like, yeah, the pencil's exactly, that's a real Mormon. You can tell he's a Mormon.
What the United States is doing. Let me tell you something. This war is far more complicated from a military perspective.
Yeah, I guess me and Tyler are staying back. We've already trespassed.
Meeting on one battlefield.
So, yeah, we ended up just driving home.
They continue fighting.
On our way back.
They continue fighting in the sea. They continue fighting in the air. They continue fighting in electronic warfare and, of course, in intelligence and public perception. And this is interesting and this is relevant because right now and in the last couple of weeks, the U.S. has been able to move ships through the Strait of Hormuz, but they're doing it quietly without releasing a whole lot of
at this point,
about
we realized what's going on.
International media.
Yesterday, I told
doing something
Brandon
else.
that our plan
They are also
is to now
counter-striking Iranian strikes on ships and Iranian attempts to disrupt traffic or travel to the Strait of Hormuz. They've been eliminating Iranian mosquito boats. They've been targeting repeatedly, by the way, not a single time, Iranian
land-based rocket systems and other munitions, and of course radar systems to try to prevent them from causing harm or using intelligence to cause harm afterwards to other targets traveling through the area. So this is more complex than just saying Iran is attacking the Gulf states. Iran is trying to do what it's done several times, which is use the Gulf states as a pressure on the United States. As always, I'm happy to say that President Trump is not someone who's easy to pressure publicly from a military aspect. Thankfully, it takes more than that to really change public policy. What we've seen from U.S. forces in the area is a very substantial level of resolution, resolve to show the Iranians that there's only one way to end this war, and it's on American terms. So yes, once again, it's very uncomfortable.
And you know what? If you're a Mormon, that probably pisses you off.
Time and time again.
You're probably mad that this dude is cosplaying your religion so he can steal Legos.
They do this.
You know what? Yeah, I bet they're talking about this shit. It's fucking ridiculous. It is. It's outrageous.
Is the real Iranian threat right now not only missiles and drones, but the ability of the Revolutionary Guards to maintain a secret economic system that continues to fund the war even under blockade?
Yeah, this is definitely the case. The financial war is as much an element of this war as are the ships, the planes, the soldiers, the missiles that are being part of it up till now.
I've never met a Mormon I didn't like. I gotta tell you that. I think their religion's a little batshit crazy, but I never met a Mormon I didn't like.
As a chokehold on the global economy, specifically on their neighbors. The police apparently got a call that we had heroin on us by closing spare holes on Iranian ships traveling through. This was not the beginning of the war, but about a month into it. Now things are continuing. We're looking at several recent steps that the Americans have carried out, where they're going after Iranian crypto assets around the world. I think I heard someone in the U.S. Treasury, this was earlier this week, stated they've already seized close to $1 billion of crypto wallets from the Iranians. I've also heard today that several Israeli hacker groups have stolen, I think it was $80 million of Iranian crypto wallets
that we didn't have drugs, and the reality of the situation is
that
Bricks and Minifigs is so desperate at this point that they're willing to do anything to get us arrested so they don't have to pay for the property they stole. And the police is arguing that it's just some of the worst comebacks I've ever heard, which is why I think the police actually redacted this audio in this clip, because if they kept the audio in, then the world would get to see how stupid the American Police Department is.
Why are they able to even redact the audio in the first place? I feel like that's a little bit unfair.
And finances are
even though we were passing every single drug test they gave us,
what the fuck?
they were still not going to let us go until we figured out where the drugs were.
They are not elected by people. They dictate construction. They control them in an authoritarian way in a very, very significant manner. Because of that, they need cash. They need cash to pay the hundreds of thousands of IRGC, soldiers, enforcers that do their bidding on the streets and scare away anyone who's trying to stand up to the government. They need them to pay for war machines, the IRGC. They need them to pay for their proxy mechanism, which is Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis, and others around the world that they use to try to
police
spread
department
terrorism.
illegally redacted this conversation too.
And the U.S. is
My
going
guess
after
is
their cash. By
that
the way,
they acknowledge
not
that
only
it's
the US,
very obvious
also
we don't
the
have
people we
drugs
talked
on
about
us,
just a
but
second ago,
they're going to try and pressure
have
us into
publicly
giving some
said,
type of false
you know what?
confession anyways.
We've realized it's not worthwhile being your friends. We know where you're keeping some of your crypto. We know where you're hiding assets from shell companies and corporations. We're coming after them, and we're going to seize them, and we're going to use them to pay for the damages you caused in this war. I think it's both humorous. It's also, well, it's what they had coming. If they're going after the wallets and the cash, well, they deserve to have
What the fuck are they doing?
To them.
This is
yes,
so
the U.S.
weird.
using financial tools is important, but it's not new.
We're giving the police a
It's
false
done
confession
in
that
many
they
ways,
wanted.
because that's often the way.
Eventually, I guess
One
they
of the
just got
ways to
tired
bring
and
down
let
the
us go.
terrorists by going after their cash, after their pocket, and then making them a little soften.
At this point, I've
But
documented
Israel continues to strike Hezbollah, while the United States is trying to close an agreement with Iran, and Lebanon became the real test of the question of who is running the peace. Washington, Jerusalem, or Tehran.
My sense is that this attempt to try and frame Israeli attacks in Lebanon as something that goes against this policy. I think it's an inaccurate attempt.
In order to get Josh to come outside,
We're clearly not saying that
really gonna have to get creative.
We're saying that the story is far more complex. One, for those of you who've forgotten, I think most people haven't forgotten yet, there's reports of this very tense conversation that took place regarding Israeli operations in Lebanon between President Trump and Netanyahu. But the main story, and this is happening today, we've heard clarifications from the White House on this topic that said,
This
yes,
is
there
like
was a
white
heated
collar
conversation, but of
guerrilla
course,
warfare.
the U.S. is committed to the very warm, the very important, the very serious
I've never seen anybody
relationship
even do
with
something like this before.
the
This
state
is
of Israel and with
amazing.
the Prime Minister of
In
Israel.
Josh's house.
Knowing
Turns
that
out
what's
this
happening in
tiny
Lebanon
patch of land is
more
actually
of a
free
bigger
for
problem.
any person of the
The
public
problem
to
is
use.
twofold.
And since we have the
One,
freedom of
Lebanon
speech,
is a
I'm
country
breaking
that
the
has a
laws by
government
doing
and an
this.
army.
So when
They
Josh
don't
walked outside
control
and
their
take down
country.
this sign,
Their
I
country,
processed
from a great
over
logistics
conservative
military
court
perspective,
papers
is
and almost
controlled by
immediately
Hezbollah.
were signed up.
Hezbollah is not a party or a faction within Lebanon proper, although they do have representation in the government. They are a sign of Islamic radical imperialism in Lebanon that is paid, funded, and trained by Iran. This is Hezbollah is not a representation of the wishes, the will, or the desires of the Lebanese people.
They've been called here for a false
Instead of
reason.
the Iranian.
They've decided to leave.
So here's